Chapter 22. Prodigy. The leaders of the various forces looked at each other. The kind that suddenly rose up? What did Lord Ling Xiao want to do? Could it be that he came to the lower realm to look for someone? I'm a little tired. You guys can leave. Ling Xiao was too lazy to explain to them. He grabbed Yi Qingchan's hand and walked towards the back of the palace. Feng Jiao hesitated for a moment but still followed. As for the remaining leaders, they hurried back to their own sects and mobilized their disciples to search for the prodigy that young Master Ling Xiao had mentioned. In the next 3 days, the news of what happened in Black Sword sect spread. The various sects brought their divine weapons with the intention of destroying Black Sword sect. But in the end, they willingly handed over their divine weapons and paid a visit to Lord Ling Xiao of Black Sword sect. At this point, the top forces of the northern wilderness had already guessed the identity of that young master. He came from Shringzhou, had a terrifying cultivation base and loved beauties. Countless forces were secretly terrified and tried to find out the purpose of this young master's descent. The younger generation of cultivators were full of admiration and wanted to see Ling Xiao's face. Especially some female disciples who boasted of being proud and arrogant. They were constantly looking forward to meeting this young master on the streets so that they could obtain a piece of good fortune that belonged to them. The entire northern wilderness was suddenly in chaos. Have you heard? The sect master of Thousand Charms sect actually gave Saintess Feng Jiao heir to Lord Ling Xiao as a servant. Feng Jiao heir. She's the dream goddess of many men in the northern wilderness. To tell you the truth, ever since I saw Feng Jiao heir a few years ago at the foot of Thousand Charms Sect's mountain, I've been masturbating for a whole year. What is this? I look at her portrait at least 10 times a day. Sigh, what a pity. From now on, my goddess has become someone else's tool. In the middle of the northern wilderness, in a luxurious and ancient city, a few young cultivators gathered together, drinking and chatting. At this moment, they didn't notice that not far from them, a young man in white was staring at them with a gloomy expression. His hands were tightly clenched. Feng Jiao heir, this bitch would rather be someone's servant than be my fiancé. Just you wait. The young man looked to be about 18 or 19 years old, and his face was inexplicably pale. His name was Yi Fan, and he was a direct descendant of Green Maple City's Yi clan. As for Feng Jiao heir, before she became the holy maiden of the Thousand Charms sect, she was merely a young lady from a small aristocratic family in this city. The two of them had been engaged since they were young. However, Yi Fan was born with a crippled meridian and was unable to cultivate. Feng Jiao heir, on the other hand, was exceptionally gifted. In just a few years, she was taken in as a personal disciple by sect master Qian Mei. Even the Feng family had leaped to become a famous cultivation family in Green Maple City. Last year, when Yi Fan came of age, that Feng Jiao heir came with the prestige of the Thousand Charms sect's holy maiden. In front of countless elders and juniors of the Yi family, she rejected the marriage. It was also on that night that Yi Fan accidentally awakened his sealed memories while he was in despair. Just you wait. It won't be long before I make you kneel in front of me and repent, back mountain of the Xianjian sect. Ling Xiao was lying on a soft couch in the hall. Yi Qingchan pinched a peeled grape and put it into his mouth. In these 3 days, he had lived a leisurely life. When he had nothing to do, he would tease Yi Qingchan and wait for the information sent by the various sect masters. However, what disappointed Ling Xiao was that the young geniuses that the masters of those forces found were either the successors of ancient sects or the young masters of aristocratic families. Their journey was smooth sailing and did not conform to the growth trajectory of the child of destiny at all. Could it be that that fortune is really not fated with me? Ever since he came to the northern wasteland, the call in Ling Xiao's head had also disappeared. This inevitably made him feel a little disappointed. Young master, why are you distressed? Yi Qingchan brought over a cup of sake. Seeing the trace of worry between Ling Xiao's brows, she was slightly puzzled. With young master's identity, would there be times when he would be worried? Nothing. Of course, Ling Xiao would not tell Yi Qinchan that he was looking for a treasure-seeking beast that could help him find fortune. Although he was a villain, Yi Qinchan was indeed the child of destiny. She might not be able to accept his style of doing things. Young master, it is said that there are many aristocratic families and ancient sects in the central region of the northern wasteland. If you want to find someone, why don't you go there and try your luck? Yi Qinchan knew that Ling Xiao did not completely trust her, and a trace of disappointment flashed across her beautiful eyes. Let's wait for another day. If there are still no clues after a day, we will go and take a look. Okay. Our Yi family is in the central region of the northern wasteland, Green Maple City. We can go back and see our clansmen. Yi Qinchan seemed very excited, but Ling Xiao could not help but frown. Yi family, this family has always produced people of destiny. Miss Qinchan is from the Yi family of Green Maple City? Feng Jiao, who had not opened her mouth, was suddenly stunned. Yes, my father is the third son of the Yi family. After joining the Black Sword sect, he rarely went back. Yi Qinchan obviously had some hostility towards Feng Jiao, and even her tone was a little cold. You are also from Green Maple City? Ling Xiao suddenly became interested and looked Feng Jiao up and down. Putting aside the charm on her body, this Feng Jiao was indeed not bad-looking. She had beautiful eyebrows and a rosy face, an enchanting beauty that could overturn a nation, and a graceful figure that could move one's heart. But this charm sect woman was never the main character of an era. Her identity was more likely to be someone else's stepping stone. Young master, my daughter is from the Feng family of Green Maple City. She once had a soul pact with Yi Fan of Green Maple City's Yi family. Damn! The name Yi Fan seemed to have a story behind it. Once had a marriage pact? This pattern was so familiar. You took the initiative to break off the engagement? Ling Xiao suddenly sat up from the soft couch, scaring Yi Qinchan and Feng Jiao. Although he saw a trace of luck on Feng Jiao, it was pitifully little. This was also the reason why he did not plan to keep her by his side. But what would happen to the female lead who broke off the engagement? Ling Xiao suddenly laughed. It was really a case of wearing out iron shoes in vain. Yes, Master said that my sex charm technique could not be broken. Otherwise, all my previous efforts would be wasted. So, when I came of age, I personally went down the mountain to the Yi family and broke off the engagement. Feng Jiao's face was bashful and her eyes were full of charm. She was indeed the thousand charm sect's holy maiden. Her every frown and smile was full of charm. Humph, then why did your master give you to young master as a servant? Isn't she afraid that you will lose your cultivation? Yi Qinchan snorted coldly, her face full of disdain. In these few years, she had heard many rumors about Feng Jiao. This woman had done many things that bewitched men. It was rumored that there was a king of a dynasty who saw her and gave up everything to guard the Thousand Charm sect. In the end, the dynasty was destroyed and he became a sinner. If it is given to young master, I am willing. Feng Jiao lowered her head, her face was slightly red and her voice was a little shy. Bah, shameless. At this moment, Ling Xiao looked deeply at Feng Jiao and shook his head slightly. You broke off the engagement not only because it will break your cultivation. Chapter 23. Young Master Feng Jiao's eyes flashed with a trace of panic. How did young master know? When she broke off the engagement, it was indeed not only because of the cultivation method. Actually, there was no such thing as breaking the seduction technique. Even collecting male yang could increase one's power. The reason why she broke off the engagement was because Yi Fan was born with a crippled meridian. At the age of 16, he did not have any spiritual power. How could a piece of trash be worthy of her, the pride of the northern wilderness? However, if she told the truth, it would inevitably make Lord Ling Xiao feel that she was very snobbish. That was why she made up another excuse. That Yi Fan should be a piece of trash, right? Ling Xiao smiled inexplicably and looked at Feng Jiao'er with a playful gaze. It was getting more and more interesting. Young master knows Yi Fan? Feng Jiao'er panicked. She really did not expect that a piece of trash from a small family in Green Maple City would be able to catch Lord Ling Xiao's attention. It was not easy for her to stay by young master's side. If it was because of this, have you heard any news about Yi Fan recently? If Ling Xiao was right, this Yi Fan should be affected by the broken engagement and awakened his talent. Or perhaps, a mother from the Xingzhou continent had left her with a treasure that could only be unsealed when she reached adulthood at the age of 16. But no matter what, it was obvious that this Yi Fan was the son of destiny that Ling Xiao was looking for. Recently? I have been cultivating in seclusion in the Thousand Charms sect recently. I have not heard any news about him. Young master, after I broke off the engagement with him, I have not seen him even once. If young master does not believe me. Feng Jiao'er was worried that Ling Xiao would misunderstand and hurriedly explained. But when she raised her head to look at Ling Xiao again, the latter had already ignored her. Is young master disappointed in me? This damned Yi Fan. He broke off the engagement and still hindered my great future. I wonder if he'll be able to bring me to that great fortune this time. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with anticipation. He stretched his body slightly and looked at Yi Qinchan. Let's go to Green Maple City to meet this young master Yi. Young master, why are you suddenly interested in my cousin? Yi Qinchan looked at Ling Xiao suspiciously. Based on her understanding of the young master in front of her, he would never be so kind as to visit a stranger. Moreover, the 4 desolate aristocratic families were as lowly as ants in his eyes. Why would he make a special trip to a place to get acquainted with a person with a crippled bloodline? This guy was definitely up to no good. Of course, with Yi Qinchan's status, she naturally didn't dare to casually guess Ling Xiao's thoughts. However, she was already worried about her cousin. I'm just curious. Qinchan, how is your relationship with your cousin? According to the usual plot, Yi Fan was born with a crippled meridian and was rejected by a proud woman. He would definitely get to know another destined woman, who would be the female lead later on. However, he didn't know whose fate was stronger between him and Chu Yang. Only then would he be able to get involved with Yi Qinchan, the goddess of samsara. Relationship? Young master, I was born in the Black Sword sect. I only occasionally return to Green Maple City with my father. That cousin of mine, speaking of his background, is quite pitiful. Yi Qinchan's voice was somewhat sorrowful. Clearly, in her heart, that Yi Fan should be a person worthy of sympathy. This point was completely in line with Ling Xiao's thoughts. If he wasn't a little miserable, how would he be able to turn the tables and become a destined person? How pitiful. Ling Xiao seemed to be particularly interested in this Yi Qinchan. This made the uneasiness in Yi Qinchan's heart even stronger. Although my cousin is a legitimate son, it is said that his mother is not from the northern desolate lands. After giving birth to him, she left the clan. Second uncle fell ill from missing him and passed away a few years later. He has no one to rely on. Usually, in the Yi clan, even the servants bully him. It's all thanks to grandfather who took care of him when he was still around. But a few years ago, grandfather also passed away. As Yi Qinchan spoke, her eyes turned red. Cousin Yi Fan was born with a crippled meridian and was unable to cultivate. This time, he was even looked down upon by his own clan. The last time I returned to Green Maple City, I even fought with eldest uncle's son because of this. So that's how it is. Ling Xiao understood what was going on the moment he heard this. It seemed that this was the fate between Yi Qinchan and Yi Fan. Although Chu Yang was also a destined person, his background was not miserable enough. Generally speaking, the more miserable the male lead was, the more terrifying his luck would be. However, as for what secrets he had, Ling Xiao still had to personally investigate them. It seems that you have quite a bit of feelings for this trash of a cousin. Ling Xiao's mouth raised into a smile, but Yi Qingchan's heart trembled because of these words. Young master. All right, there's no need to explain. Such a tragic background makes me want to cry. However, I guess that after such a long time, there should be some changes in your cousin's body. In front of Xianjian Sect's main hall, Ling Xiao stood with his hands behind his back. His black robe fluttered in the wind like an immortal, indescribably elegant and free. Yi Qingchan and Feng Jiao stood one step behind him with a look of reverence on their faces. Further away, Xianjian Sect's sect master Yi Luyun, Grand Elder Wei Wuchen, and the various sect masters also had solemn expressions. Those who did not know would think that something big was about to happen in the northern wilderness. Lord Ling Xiao, are you really not going to stay in Xianjian Sect for 2 more days? Yi Luyun's eyes were filled with tears, and his voice was sorrowful. He knew that Ling Xiao would probably not return after leaving this time, and Yi Qingchan would naturally follow him to Xingzhou. Both father and daughter were in low spirit. Yes, there are some things that I need to do. Everyone, let's part ways here. Ling Xiao waved his hand, and a ray of light flashed across the sky, turning into a pavilion in the air. The carved beams and painted rafters were engraved on it, and celestial music lingered in the air. It was overflowing with light and color, revealing supreme glory. What a magnificent flying pavilion! What a terrifying wave of energy! Just one Dharma artifact was enough to shock all the sect masters in the northern wilderness. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, held Yi Qingchan's hand and walked into the pavilion. Feng Jiao turned to look at her master in the crowd. Her eyes were slightly red, and she also walked in. Lord Ling Xiao. Xiao Gu stood far away from the main hall, clenching his teeth tightly. Why didn't young master bring me along when he left? Could it be that I didn't do well enough? Thinking of this, Xiao Ji's eyes were filled with tears. If I had another chance, I would definitely use all my cultivation time to kneel and lick Lord Ling Xiao's boots. Young master, take care. Young master, I will miss you. Young master, come back often. For a moment, the entire Xianjian sect was filled with grief. Those who saw it were heartbroken, and those who heard it cried. Everyone looked at the flying pavilion that was gradually disappearing, and their eyes were filled with reluctance. Ling Xiao's departure also meant that they had no fate with the Xingzhou. Chapter 24. Wow, young master, your flying tower is so majestic. Yi Qingchan stood on top of the flying tower and looked down at the figures that were gradually turning into ants. Her beautiful eyes were filled with curiosity. If you like it, I'll give it to you. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged on the golden chair in the tower, while Feng Jiao boiled tea beside him. Actually, this flying tower was the lowest-level flying spirit treasure he had. It was just that the space of the 4 barren lands could not withstand the pressure of other spirit treasures, so he chose to keep a low profile. Young master, you are so good to Miss Yi. Of course, Miss Yi is beautiful and has a good personality, unlike me, who is clumsy. Hearing this, Feng Jiao could not help but sigh. There was some resentment in her eyes, and the loneliness on her face made people feel pity for her. Ling Xiao smiled. This set of actions was somewhat familiar. Brother, you are so nice. Brother, I am so stupid. Brother, sister-in-law, you are so lucky. Brother, I should not have disturbed you. Isn't it just the excuse of a tea girl? No wonder Feng Jiao knows how to make tea. However, if an ordinary northern wilderness genius saw Feng Jiao like this, they would immediately blame themselves and take her into their arms to comfort her. What's so good about sister-in-law? Sister, you are the best. Qingchan, you really don't plan to return to Xianjian sect? Ling Xiao picked up the teacup and suddenly smiled. Young master, are you willing to let me go back? Yi Qingqian turned around, but there was no panic on her face. After a few days of interaction, she had almost figured out Ling Zhao's character. This Xingzhou young master looked cold and taciturn, but he always liked to find some fun with her. Yi Qingqian was already used to it. Boring. Ling Xiao shook his head helplessly and took a sip of tea. What about you? Do you plan to return to Xingzhou with me? Ah? Young master, can I return to Xingzhou with you? Really? That is my honor. Jiao said that I will follow you wherever you go in the future, unless you don't want me anymore. Feng Jiao's jade-like hand lightly covered her red lip. She had a flattered look on her face. Seeing this, Ling Xiao couldn't help but reveal a smile. That's more like it. That's the reaction I want. Humph, shameless. Yi Qingqian walked to the front of the building and looked up at the clouds flying past her. She fell into silence. Qingqian, Ling Zhao's hands reached over her shoulders and hugged her from behind. Can you tell me about the northern wilderness? What kind of powers are there in Green Maple City? Why don't you ask her? Yi Qingqian pouted as if she was still angry, but her heart had long been disturbed by Ling Zhao's sudden tenderness. This bad young master is always bullying me. I like hearing you say that. Humph, Green Maple City is a small city in the middle of the northern wasteland. It belongs to the Great Yin dynasty, and there are many aristocratic families there. The Yi clan is just a small clan. From Yi Qingqian, Ling Xiao roughly understood the situation. The northern wilderness was vast, spanning hundreds of thousands of miles. The Black Sword sect was only in a remote corner, and was considered a large sect in the northwest of the northern wilderness. But in the entire northern wilderness, it was not considered powerful. Especially the 4 great dynasties, 6 great ancient sects, and 8 aristocratic families in the center of the northern wilderness. Among them, the Thousand Charm sect was one of the 6 great ancient sects, and the Yi clan was just a small aristocratic family in the center of the northern wilderness, seeking some fortune in the cracks. As for Green Maple City, it was just an ordinary mountain city. Usually there were almost no strong cultivators there. But as the purpose of Ling Zhao's trip was made public, the most powerful forces in the northern wilderness had all sent people to Green Maple City in an attempt to befriend this young master from the Xingzhou continent. Before Ling Zhao's arrival, many people thought that the so-called Xingzhou continent was just a rumor. After all, in the entire northern wilderness, no one had been able to step into the first stage of Paoang for hundreds of years. But Ling Zhao's appearance once again proved the existence of the Xingzhou continent. A peerless genius who could casually give out pills to help people break through and reach the Soul Sea realm at the age of 17 or 18 was definitely not from the northern wilderness. If to be able to have a good relationship with Lord Ling Xiao was a great fortune for any force in the northern wilderness. This point could be seen from the Black Sword sect and the Thousand Charm sect. The current Black Sword sect had become the sect with the deepest foundation in the northern wilderness. It had a Xianqing stage Grand Elder in charge and the daughter of the sect master who followed Lord Ling Xiao to the Xingzhou continent. In less than 100 years, the 3 words Black Sword sect would become a taboo in the northern wilderness. The flying tower stirred up a hurricane and flew towards Green Maple City at high speed. At the same time, the Yi clan. The head of the Yi clan, Yi Qingqian's uncle, Yi Lufeng, stood in front of the ancestral hall, burning incense and worshipping. Behind him, the members of the Yi clan were respectfully looking at the memorial tablets placed in the ancestral hall. However, there was a hint of confusion in their eyes. Today was not the day to worship the ancestors. Why did the head of the Yi clan gather all the members of the Yi clan to worship early in the morning? Only a young man in white stood in the corner of the crowd, bored to death. There was no respect or restraint on his face, only coldly looking at the so-called clan members in front of him. This person was naturally the cousin that Yi Qingqian mentioned, Feng Jiao's original fiancé, Yi Fan. In Yi Fan's opinion, the so-called clan was nothing but a decoration. When his grandfather was still alive, he could still receive some cultivation resources. But now even the dog servants of the Yi clan liked to make things difficult for him. Those cousins who had grown up with him didn't even look him in the eye. But it did not matter. Sooner or later, he would make all the people in the clan who looked down on him kneel in front of him and kowtow to him. But, mother, where are you? Why did it disappear after leaving me with such a heaven-defying fortune? Yi Fan's eyes flashed, and his thoughts had already drifted outside the northern wilderness. If nothing went wrong, his mother should have been forced to leave. In order to protect herself, she even used a great method to seal her bloodline. And now, with the help of the 8 desolation-glazed demon-subduing pagoda, the northern wilderness could not trap him at all. No matter where his mother was, he would find her. Head of the Yi clan, did you call us over because something happened to the Yi clan? In the past few days, there were obviously many more tyrannical auras in Green Maple City. This made all the cultivation families in Green Maple City feel incomparably nervous. Especially according to the rumors, the descendants of the 4 great dynasties and the 6 great ancient sects had all gathered here, saying that they were waiting for the arrival of some young master. But who exactly was that young master? How could he cause such a commotion in the northern wilderness? The 4 great dynasties, the 6 great ancient sects, and the 8 great ancient sects. In the eyes of the Yi clan, this was an unattainable existence. Otherwise, the Feng clan, which only had 100 people, would actually become the head of the families in Green Maple City after Feng Jiao entered the Thousand Charm sect. This was the deterrent power of the ancient sects. Of course, the Yi clan's strength was still far from the top forces in the northern wilderness. Therefore, most of the Yi clan did not know that a Xingzhou young master had come to the northern wilderness. Today, Lu Yun sent a letter to me. Yi Lu Feng inserted the incense into the table and turned to look at the Yi clan in front of him. The glory of my Yi clan is coming. Chapter 25. The glory of the Yi family? Clan Master, what do you mean? What did Lu Yun say? The Yi family's first elder, Yi Wentian, furrowed his brows and looked at Yi Lu Feng in confusion. Lu Yun said that a young master from the Xingzhou has arrived and will be a guest in the Yi family soon. And those prodigies and saintesses who suddenly appeared in Green Maple City are mostly here for him. Yi Lu Feng was high-spirited and had an arrogant smile on his face. If not for the fact that Yi Lu Yun was the Xianjian sect master, the Yi family would have fallen into dire straits. Even so, the Yi family was only an unremarkable family in the central region of the northern wilderness. But, as long as the Yi family served the young master from the Xingzhou well, any treasures or martial arts would be at their fingertips. What? A young master from the Xingzhou? So the rumors about the Xingzhou are true? There really is a sacred land outside the 4 wilds. The entire Yi family fell into an uproar. Many Yi family disciples were already secretly thinking about how to stand out among their brothers and sisters. Clan Master, is what you said true? The young master from the Xingzhou is really coming to our Yi family? Yi Wentian's old face was also filled with excitement. He had been stuck at the peak of the spirit awakening stage for decades. If he could receive guidance from the young master from the Xingzhou, a breakthrough would be just around the corner. How could it be fake? Qin Chan is now by Lord Ling Zhao's side. It is said that the saintess of the Thousand Charm sect, Feng Jiao, has also been taken in as a servant by the Lord Ling Zhao. They are coming together this time. After Yi Lu Feng finished speaking, his gaze paused on Yi Fan for a moment. That day when the Feng family broke off the engagement, the entire Foliaceae was humiliated. However, the Thousand Charm sect was too powerful and the Yi family did not dare to resist. Therefore, everyone in the Yi family vented their hatred on Yi Fan. If he had not been born with a crippled meridian and was purely a cripple, how could the engagement be broken off and the Yi family become a laughingstock? Yi Fan's expression turned sinister for a moment when he sensed the ridicule in the gazes around him. The young master from the Xingzhou? What's so great about the young master from the Xingzhou? Look at how scared you are. On the day he awakened his bloodline at the age of 16, he saw the sole remembrance that his mother had left for him in his knowledge sea. His mother had said that the ancient tower in his sea of consciousness was a top-tier treasure even in the Xingzhou continent. The cultivation methods and martial arts passed down within were all top-notch in the Xingzhou continent. As long as he cultivated step by step, sooner or later he would reach the Paoang stage and step into the Xingzhou continent. At the same time, his mother also reminded him not to inquire about her whereabouts until he reached the immortal ascension realm. From this point of view, his mother's background must be extremely terrifying. It was laughable that these ants from the Yi clan didn't lick him, but insisted on licking a person of unknown origin. But that's good too. The more you look down on me, the less I will blame myself when I take revenge on you in the future. Ahem, Yi Fan, I know that the annulment of the engagement was a huge blow to you, but this time, Feng Jiao Air came with Lord Ling Xiao. You should pay attention to your attitude. Yi Lu Feng coldly glanced at Yi Fan. The resentment in the latter's eyes made him think that Yi Fan had not let go of the humiliation of breaking off the engagement. Watch my attitude? Yi Fan wanted to laugh. I was the one who broke off the engagement, I was the one who was insulted, and I was the one who was mocked by my clansmen. Now she came back with a bullshit young master, and I still have to serve her with a smile? How can a person be so lowly? You can, but I, Yi Fan, can't. Yi Fan, my father is talking to you. Are you deaf? At the front of the crowd, an elegant young master in purple frowned and turned to scold Yi Fan. His name was Yi Xing, the current young master of the Yi clan. He had some talent and was already a void spirit realm expert. He had some fame in the mountain city. A mere void spirit realm expert dares to talk to me like that. The day I break through to the awakening realm will be the day your Yi clan is destroyed. Yi Fan coldly snorted in his heart, but on the surface, he calmly nodded. Got it. Mother said that one must know how to endure. I have endured for the past 18 years, why would I care about a few days? As long as I can find another 1,000-year ice heart grass, I can refine that spirit ascension pill. At that time, breaking through to the awakening realm shouldn't be a problem. He had stayed long enough in Green Maple City. The next step was to head to the Four Dynasties to search for good fortune. I heard that there's still half a year before the 100 Empire War held by the Four Dynasties. This time, I must let everyone in the northern wasteland know my name. However, cousin Qingchan, long time no see. A smile gradually appeared in Yi Fan's eyes. If there was anyone in the entire Yi clan who was worthy of his attention, it would be this young miss of the Xianjian sect. Although the two of them didn't have many chances to meet, they were attracted to each other. Yi Fan would never forget the way Yi Qingchan pointed her sword at Yi Xing and stood up for him. It was a rainy day, and Yi Fan was humiliated by Yi Xing and the others. Yi Qingchan was like an immortal that had descended from the 9 heavens, suddenly appearing in front of him. The rain wet her hair, but it could not hide her incomparably beautiful face. Her green robe fluttered in the wind, and her hands were delicate. She reached out to hold Yi Fan's muddy hand and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Then, she turned around and pulled out her sword at Yi Xing. Blood dyed the courtyard red, and the dark clouds in the sky were terrifying. But all of this was nothing compared to the cinnabar at the corner of Yi Qingchan's eyes. That year, when the two of them first met, Yi Fan was 13 years old, and Yi Qingchan was 12 years old. That day, Yi Fan swore that he would stand by her side for the rest of his life. I heard that you are now the #1 beauty in the northern wasteland. Qingchan, give me some more time, and I will let you know that only I am worthy of standing by your side. Yi Fan's eyes were filled with infatuation. Lord Ling Xiao? Haha, my 8 desolate glazed soul-suppressing pagoda is suppressing countless top demons of the Xingzhou continent. Who do you think you are? You better remember this or else. Yi Xing looked at Yi Fan's calm face, and a trace of viciousness flashed across his eyes. His father, Yi Lufeng, had secretly told him that Lord Ling Xiao had come to the Yi family to look for the young prodigy. There was no one else in the Yi family who could be called a prodigy other than him. If Yi Fan did not know what was good for him and offended Lord Ling Xiao because of Feng Jiao heir, Yi Xing would not mind killing him in advance. "Master, there is someone outside who wants to see you." At this moment, the voice of the Yi family servant suddenly came from outside the ancestral hall. Yi Lufeng and the rest were stunned and hurriedly asked, "Are Lord Ling Xiao and Qin Chan here?" "No, Master." "Oh." Yi Lufeng was a little disappointed. "He said that he is the crown prince of the great Yan dynasty, and his name is Xiao Yan. He wants to visit you." "What?" "It is the crown prince of the 4 dynasties. Quick, quick, let them in." At this moment, everyone from the Yi clan revealed a shocked expression. The crown prince of the 4 dynasties came to visit the Yi family. In the past, this was absolutely impossible. What did this mean? It meant that the Yi family was really going to rise. Chapter 26. 2 days later, when the flying tower Ling Xiao and the other 2 arrived at the Yi residence, the entire Qinqing was in an uproar. Countless prodigies and saintesses stood on the streets and looked up at the black-clothed figure standing on the flying tower with his hands behind his back. Although they couldn't see Ling Xiao's face, it didn't stop them from admiring this young master of the Xingzhou. "Lord Ling Xiao, I love you. Lord Ling Xiao, please me. Lord Ling Xiao humiliated me." Especially those prideful girls who were proud of their look. They were like cats in heat, screaming at the figure on the flying tower. Many citizens of Qinfeng City who didn't know what was going on looked at the prideful girls who were showing off their figures like brothels. Their mouths were wide open, revealing a dazed expression. "Who is Lord Ling Xiao?" In an instant, the name Ling Xiao spread throughout the northern wilderness. Even some mortals who had never stepped on the path of immortality knew that the most famous young master in the northern wilderness was named Ling Xiao. "Welcome to the Yi residence, Lord Ling Xiao. Welcome to the Lord Ling Xiao." In the Yi residence's main hall, Ling Xiao sat at the head of the table, while Yi Qinchan and Feng Jiao stood beside him like 2 obedient maids. One had to know that with their status, no matter where they went, they would be sought after. But now, in front of Lord Ling Xiao, they didn't have the slightest arrogance on their faces. They only had the honor to stand beside their young master. "Everyone, don't be so polite." Ling Xiao smiled gently, without the slightest arrogance and domineering rumored to be. Instead, he made people feel warm. "Lord Ling Xiao from the Xingzhou is smiling at us?" Many members of the Yi clan were already overwhelmed with emotions. Their faces and ears were flushed red, and only Gao Chao was left. "Are all the Yi family members here?" Ling Xiao's gaze swept across the main hall in front of him and found that none of the younger generation had providence. He frowned slightly. "Why don't I see cousin Yi Fan?" Yi Qinchan also looked at Yi Lufeng with some confusion. Yi Fan. Yi Fan said he was going to go into seclusion this morning. I'll send someone to call him over. That thing that doesn't know any manners." Yi Lufeng did not expect Yi Qinchan to mention Yi Fan in front of Lord Ling Xiao. He quickly signaled Yi Sheng and the others with his eyes. "Young master, please wait for a moment. I'll go get Yi Fan now." Yi Xing bowed to Ling Xiao before turning around and walking out of the hall. Seeing this, Ling Xiao slowly closed his eyes, as if he was a little tired. At this moment, he could not help but wonder what kind of trump card Yi Fan had. When dealing with the Son of Heaven, Ling Xiao did not dare to be careless for a moment. These children of destiny would initially be protected by the heavenly Tao. If he wasn't careful, he might be the one to perish. Therefore, he had to be careful at every step. No matter how small the details were, he could not overlook them. Of course, now that Ling Xiao was looking for the children of destiny in the 4 barren lands, Plundering luck was secondary. The most important thing was the creation that summoned him. If that creation was really related to his sky demon true body, then it must be a heavenly item. That was more precious than luck points. Moreover, the children of destiny in the Xingzhou continent would undoubtedly have more luck points. Calculating the time, it was about time for him to return to the family. Because in a few days it would be the day of his engagement. In his mind, a cold and aloof face that was as beautiful as a fairy gradually appeared. The corners of Ling Zhao's mouth unconsciously curled into a smile. Yi Qingqian was very beautiful, and Feng Jiao was also very seductive. But speaking of his fiancée, she was the true goddess that soared through the 9 heavens. At this moment, in a remote courtyard at the back of the Yi residence, Yi Xing and the others kicked open the courtyard door and walked in. I really don't know what cousin Qingqian is thinking. She actually mentioned that trash Yi Fan in front of the young master. Is she trying to embarrass the Yi family? One of the Yi family disciples, Yi Mei, complained softly. Yi Mei, be careful with your words. Yi Xing glared at her, but his face was a little gloomy. Yi Qingqian's relationship with Yi Fan was indeed closer than her relationship with him. Moreover, Yi Qingqian was now Ling Zhao's favorite. Offending her would not benefit the Yi family at all. Yi Fan was born with a crippled meridian. Since the Lord Ling Xiao was here to select a young prodigy, it had nothing to do with Yi Fan. Lord Ling Xiao would definitely be disappointed when he saw him. Yi Xing, what are you doing here? In the side courtyard, Yi Fan walked out of the house in a white robe. How can you talk to the young master like that? Do you believe that I'll slap you to death? Yi Mei strode to Yi Fan's side and raised her hand, wanting to slap him. However, at that moment, she clearly saw a flash of light in Yi Fan's eyes. A chill instantly rose from the bottom of her heart, and Yi Mei's face inexplicably turned pale. For a moment, she seemed to have seen a great demon standing in front of her. Just one look was enough to make her feel death. How could it be? It must be an illusion. Yi Mei staggered 2 steps back and looked at the young man in front of her with a terrified expression. How could she be afraid of a cripple? Yi Fan, cousin Qingqian and the Lord Ling Xiao are here. They want to see you. Yi Xing looked at Yi Mei in confusion, but he did not ask any questions. Instead, he said calmly, Cousin Qingqian is here? Yi Fan's eyes immediately lit up. However, his expression turned solemn after a while. Since Ling Xiao was from the Xingzhou continent, his means were not something that the people of the northern wilderness could compare to. He could not afford to be careless. His mother had said that the 8 wilderness-glazed pagoda in his mind was a divine treasure. Even in the Xingzhou continent, it was enough to attract the most powerful people to fight for it. Although he was not afraid of Ling Xiao, once this secret was exposed, it would definitely attract more trouble. Now, he had to endure it. Until the day when he was strong enough, he would be able to trample on those who looked down on him. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. Do not bully the young for being poor. Yi Fan, later in front of the Lord Ling Xiao, you must behave yourself. Feng Jiao is now the master's servant you. Got it. Before Yi Xing could finish speaking, Yi Fan had already walked out of the courtyard impatiently. What does Feng Jiao count for? Actually, Yi Fan did not want to marry her at all. He had always liked his cousin Yi Qingqian. However, when Feng Jiao broke off the engagement in front of everyone, he had suffered a lot of humiliation. Therefore, he did not plan to let her go. You! Yi Xing looked at Yi Fan who was walking away, and a murderous look flashed across his face. He did not know why, but the Yi Fan today was different from usual. Let's see how long you can be arrogant. When the Lord Ling Xiao and cousin Qingqian are gone, I will teach you a lesson. Chapter 27. In Yi Xing's opinion, Yi Fan's confidence came from Yi Qingqian. After all, back then, Yi Qingqian did not hesitate to draw her sword against him for his sake. But at that time, everyone was ignorant and childish. Now, Yi Qingqian was the woman that Lord Ling Shao doted on. Sooner or later, she would step into Xingzhou. After so many years, Yi Fan was still a good-for-nothing who had not even broken through to the true energy realm. The difference between the two was destined to never cross paths again. When Yi Fan appeared in the Yi residence's main hall, Ling Zhao's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. He's here. The system had already sent out a notification. The new Son of Destiny had appeared. Ling Xiao looked at the young man in white standing in the hall and tried his best not to smile so wretchedly. White clothes, starry eyes, unparalleled handsomeness, and there was no fluctuation of spiritual energy in his body. He was a good-for-nothing. This was indeed the standard of a Son of Destiny. 700 luck points. That was 200 points more than Chu Yang. Indeed, the more miserable the Son of Destiny was, the more luck he would have. However, although Yi Fan hid it well, Ling Xiao still sensed his aura. He has some kind of treasure that can hide his aura? It seems that the Yi clan is going to be unlucky. Needless to say, Yi Fan hid his aura so that he could grow steadily. If Ling Xiao did not come to Green Maple City, Yi Fan would have accumulated enough power in no time and trampled on all the people who looked down on him. How unfortunate! Ling Xiao shook his head and sighed softly. Unfortunately, he met him. Moreover, Ling Xiao saw how Yi Fan looked at Yi Qingqian the moment he entered. If he was not interested in this cousin of his, then all the books that Ling Xiao had read for the past few years would have been for nothing. However, Ling Xiao did not sense any fluctuation of power from Yi Fan. There was also no remnant soul aura. So, what was his trump card? Xingzhou's technique? Secret martial arts? Or a strange treasure? Since Yi Fan's luck was so high, it proved that his secret must be even more shocking than Chu Yang's. At this moment, Ling Xiao was already thinking about how to test him. Everyone in the Yi clan looked at Ling Xiao shaking his head and sighing. Their faces carried a smile as if they had expected this. How could a piece of trash enter the eyes of the Lord Ling Xiao? Cousin Qingqian. However, Yi Fan did not look at Ling Xiao from the beginning until the end. Instead, he kept looking at the beautiful figure that was always in his mind. Cousin Qingqian. We finally meet again. In Yi Fan's opinion, since Yi Qingqian dared to stand up for him, she definitely cared about him. Even if the two of them hadn't seen each other for a long time, Yi Fan believed that cousin Qingqian still missed him. In the past, Yi Fan did not dare to express his thoughts, because he was indeed not worthy of Yi Qingqian. But now, he would soon become the most powerful person in the Yi clan. Even in the entire northern wilderness, he would definitely be called a peerless genius. Such a status was enough for him to stand shoulder to shoulder with Yi Qingqian. As for this Lord Ling Xiao, no matter how powerful he was, could he be more powerful than the demons sealed in the 8 barren glazed pagoda? One must know that those demons were also from the Xingzhou. Furthermore, each of them had committed heinous crimes and had terrifying cultivations. If a mere 17 or 18-year-old boy dared to be impudent in front of him, cousin Yi Fan. Yi Qingqian smiled politely at Yi Fan. However, when Yi Fan saw this politeness, the excitement on his face instantly froze. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like this. Why is cousin Qingqian so cold towards me? In Yi Fan's opinion, since the two of them had not seen each other for a long time, shouldn't they hug and say how much they missed each other? Damn it, it must be because of that Ling Xiao. He must have used my status to threaten cousin Qingqian. Although it would be troublesome to kill a young master from the Xingzhou, as long as he was careful, no one would notice, right? Moreover, the entire Green Maple City knew that he, Yi Fan, was a good-for-nothing. Naturally, he did not have the ability to kill a young master from the Xingzhou. Even if others suspected the Yi family, they would definitely not suspect him. Beep, the Chosen One's state of mind has been damaged. Congratulations to the host for plundering 50 luck points and gaining 500 villain points. It began just like that? Ling Xiao looked at Yi Fan, who was standing in front of the hall, with some surprise. From his eyes, he could indeed feel a trace of murderous intent. It was obvious that this son of destiny had already imagined many scenes in his mind. 600 luck points and 7,500 villain points. It seems that I should take some time to raise my cultivation level. Ling Xiao looked at the system interface with satisfaction and turned his gaze back to Yi Fan. It had to be said that this son of destiny was much more shrewd than Chu Yang. In just an instant, he had completely concealed his emotions and retreated to the side with a calm expression. Of course, this shrewdness had a lot to do with the environment he grew up in. After all, in this Yi family, he could not afford to offend anyone. If he did not know how to conceal his emotions, he would be easily killed. Lord Ling Xiao, a few days ago, the crown prince of the great Yan dynasty, Xiao Yan, personally came to visit. He said that many young geniuses in the northern wilderness wanted to visit you. Do you think? Yi Lufeng suddenly smiled humbly and looked at Ling Xiao. You promised him? Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows. This Yi Lufeng really knew how to do things. He had not even reached the Yi family, and he had already sold a favor. I don't dare. I just told Crown Prince Xiao that everything depends on you. Yi Liuyan's forehead was instantly covered in cold sweat. He had promised Crown Prince Xiao that he would pass a message to Lord Ling Xiao. However, he did not have the guts to make a decision for him. Even so, hearing the displeasure in Ling Xiao's tone, the head of the Yi family still felt incomparably terrified. Damn it! Offending Lord Ling Xiao for a few tens of thousands of spirit stones. No matter how he thought about it, the gains did not make up for the losses. Anti-inflammation? Stop itching? Forget it, let's go meet him. Ling Xiao stood up and walked straight out of the courtyard. Yi Qingchan and Feng Jiao hurriedly followed. Xing, for the next few days, stay by young master's side and bring him around Green Maple City. All expenses will be on my Yi family's head. Seeing that Ling Xiao had agreed, Yi Lufeng immediately heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly instructed Yi Xing. Yes, father. Yi Xing's face revealed a hint of joy. Following young master's side, who knows when young master will be happy and bestow upon me supreme fortune. This is a fat job. No, I have to quickly think of a way to suck up to young master. Ling Xiao naturally did not know what Yi Xing was thinking. At this moment, he was very curious. Great Yan dynasty, Crown Prince Xiao Yan. If it was not for the two words Crown Prince, Ling Xiao would have thought that the third child of destiny had appeared. Chapter 28. Cousin Qingchan. Yi Fan looked at Yi Qingchan, who was walking past him, as pain flashed across his eyes. Yi Qingchan only stopped and glanced at him with a polite smile on her face. Cousin Yi Fan, what's the matter? What's the matter? Yi Fan was in complete despair. He could not understand why Yi Qingchan seemed to have become a different person after not seeing her for a few years. Could it be that she had forgotten what she had promised him on that rainy night? She had personally said that she would wait for him at Xianjian sect. To Yi Fan, this was a promise of love between the two of them. Why was Yi Qingchan so cold towards him in the blink of an eye? It must be Ling Xiao. It must be that damned Xingzhou young master who forced Qingchan. At this moment, Yi Fan did not think that Yi Qingchan would betray him. Because in his heart, Yi Qingchan was perfect and could not be insulted. Even if it was himself, he could not doubt Yi Qingchan. Therefore, the reason could only be someone else. Ling Xiao, you can't blame me for this, you brought this upon yourself. Anyone who dares to hurt cousin Qingchan must die. Yi Fan gently shook his head. It's fine, if you have time later, come to the backyard to find me. We haven't seen each other for a long time, I have a lot to say to you. Yi Fan was indeed an old shrewd man who had endured for more than 10 years. Even though he hated her in his heart, his expression did not reveal any of it. Alright, I'll come and find you later. Yi Qingchan of course did not think too much about it. Back then, she had stood up for Yi Fan purely because she felt that her cousin's background was pitiful. And that sentence of waiting for him at Xianjian sect was just an encouragement. But she did not expect that in the heart of a young man who was used to being humble since young, the word wait was a promise. How many people's lives were ruined because of the word wait? Of course, Yi Qingchan did not expect that Yi Fan would disregard ethics and develop feelings for her. I'll wait for you. Yi Fan smiled and purposely emphasized the word wait. Yi Qingchan just nodded and chased after Ling Xiao out of the Yi residence. The Yi clanspeople only dispersed after their figures disappeared. And because of his relationship with Yi Qingchan, Yi Fan didn't suffer any more difficulties. Looks like I have to quickly break through to the awakened god realm. Only then will I be able to control the demons on the first floor of the 8 Desolation glazed pagoda. Yi Fan glanced at the door with a gloomy expression before he turned around and walked back to his courtyard. Young master, wait for me. On the other side, Yi Qingchan was jogging to catch up with Ling Xiao. But at this moment, she saw that the latter was looking at her meaningfully. What's wrong? Yi Qingchan was a little nervous. Normally, when Ling Xiao showed such an expression, he was definitely up to no good. Your cousin Yi Fan seems to be very concerned about you. Ling Xiao's lips curled up into a smile. Feng Jiao also covered her mouth and chuckled. Yes, ever since Yi Fan came in, his eyes have been fixed on Miss Qingchan. We are cousins. Aren't you guys too? Yi Qingchan's face flushed red as she glared fiercely at Ling Xiao. Young Master Yi Xing. Ling Xiao didn't continue to tease Yi Qingchan, because he could see that this girl really didn't have any feelings for Yi Fan. Yi Fan was just thinking too much. It seemed that before the emotional thread between the two of them was triggered, it was forcefully broken by him. Ah, Lord Ling Xiao, what orders do you have? Yi Xing was both terrified and honored to be called young master. He hurriedly bowed 90 degrees to Ling Xiao. In front of Ling Xiao, he was so nervous that even his voice was trembling. One had to know that this person was someone that even his third uncle, Yi Luyun, had to serve carefully. He was afraid that if he accidentally said something wrong, his head would suddenly explode. Don't be nervous, it's just a casual chat. Is young Master Yi 20 years old this year? Lord Ling Xiao actually took the initiative to chat with me? Yi Xing raised his head and looked at Ling Xiao in disbelief. Then, he lowered his head in fear. Young Master, Xing just turned 20 this year. And not bad. You are already at the peak of the ethereal spirit realm at the age of 20. Your talent is not bad. Of course, Ling Xiao wasn't that bored to talk nonsense with Yi Xing. Instead, he wanted to find out some information about Yi Fan from him. After all, Ling Xiao's purpose in coming to the Yi family wasn't simple. Although Yi Fan was restricted by the Yi family, if he acted too straightforwardly, it was inevitable that the destined child would be wary. Young master, you flatter me. At this moment, Yi Xing's entire body was floating. If it wasn't for Ling Xiao, he would have probably done 2 somersaults on the spot. Lord Ling Xiao actually praised me. What kind of honor is this? One had to know that previously, when the crown prince of the Great Yan dynasty wanted to meet Lord Ling Xiao, he had to bring gifts to the Yi family in advance to make an appointment. Yi Xing felt that he had become the most handsome child on this street. Young Master Yi and your brothers? Then, Ling Xiao asked Yi Xing about the Yi family's situation. In the end, he naturally led the topic to Yi Fan. That Yi Fan just now didn't seem to have any cultivation. I heard Qing Chan say that he was born with a crippled meridian? That's right. Yi Fan couldn't cultivate since he was young. After more than 10 years, he still hasn't stepped into the true energy realm. This is already known by everyone in Green Maple City. Yi Xing glanced at Feng Jiao. Wasn't this the reason why the Thousand Charm Sect's holy maiden broke off the engagement? However, Yi Fan was tactful today and didn't look at Feng Jiao at all. Otherwise, if he angered Lord Ling Xiao, the entire Yi family would be in trouble. Oh? He still hasn't stepped into the true energy realm? But why do I feel some spiritual energy waves from his body? Ling Xiao pretended to frown. Yi Fan hid his cultivation, but how could he hide it from Ling Xiao's eyes? Spiritual energy waves? Yi Xing was obviously stunned. Ling Xiao shook his head and smiled. Maybe I saw wrongly. It seemed that Yi Fan had hidden his cultivation deeply. Currently, the entire Yi family didn't seem to know that his cultivation was almost the same as Yi Xing's. However, the deeper he hid it, the more it proved that he was scheming. The secret he had must be extremely shocking. Lord Ling Xiao. In the distance, a group of young men and women in luxurious clothes suddenly appeared. The leader was a handsome young man in a red gilded robe and a purple gold crown on his head. This is Lord Ling Xiao. I am Xiao Yan from the Great Yan dynasty. I have already visited the Yi family. May I know if you can give me the honor of meeting with me at the Drunken Immortal restaurant? Xiao Yan was the crown prince, but he actually bowed respectfully to Ling Xiao. Brother Yi Xing, we meet again. Yi Xing stood beside Ling Xiao and naturally accepted Xiao Yan's bow in a grand manner. He already felt that his life had reached the peak because of Lord Ling Xiao's appearance. One must know that this was Crown Prince Xiao Yan, one of the most dazzling geniuses in the northern wilderness. Usually, he wouldn't even look at the Green Maple City's aristocratic families, but now he had to greet him politely. Chapter 29. So it's Prince Xiao Yan. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment before agreeing to Xiao Yan's invitation. After all, this was the center of the northern wilderness and Xiao Yan and the others were the local tyrant. Naturally, they were very familiar with the various factions and the secrets of the street. The main reason Ling Xiao was looking for the Children of Destiny was that he hoped to borrow their luck to find the fortune that summoned him. However, it was a little risky to place all his hopes on Yi Fan. Therefore, he planned to ask about the northern wilderness mystic realm from these elite prodigies. Young master, we have been waiting for you in Green Maple City for 3 days. We hope you will honor us with your presence. Xiao Yan's attitude was sincere, but Ling Xiao only nodded coldly and did not say anything else. The rumors are true. This young master from the Xingzhou is cold and unapproachable. Xiao Yan and the others laughed bitterly in their hearts, but that did not stop them from becoming bootlickers. They bowed and stood beside Ling Xiao, trying their best to express themselves. Soon, they arrived at the Drunken Immortal restaurant. The Drunken Immortal restaurant was full of guests today. Moreover, all of them were famous saintesses of the northern wilderness. Even the secluded ancient clans, which were rarely seen, had sent people to visit young Master Ling Xiao. The group of people went upstairs in a grandiose manner, and the Drunken Immortal restaurant directly hung up the signboard for closing. Everyone looked at the black-clothed young master with an indifferent expression in front of the crowd. Their faces were filled with deep respect. When Ling Xiao had arrived at Green Maple City, they had only seen the figure of the Xingzhou young master at the top of the flying tower. But today, under such close contact, they finally felt the vast and terrifying aura on their young master's body. That noble aura that was like that of a god from the 9 heavens caused the princes of the empires, the young masters of the ancient clans, and the saintesses of the sects, who were usually high and mighty, to involuntarily feel insignificant. In front of Lord Ling Xiao, they were like ants. No, they were nothing but ants. Greetings to Lord Ling Xiao. The group of prodigies bowed. Wherever Ling Xiao went, there was an indescribable excitement on everyone's face. There were even a few proud girls who couldn't help but shed tears of happiness. Lord Ling Xiao looked at me just now. You're talking nonsense. Young master clearly likes me. Nonsense. Boom. The entire restaurant instantly fell into an uproar. Ling Xiao merely glanced at Xiao Yan with an indifferent expression. The latter's body immediately trembled as he chased out all the young masters and young ladies of the lesser aristocratic families. "It's much quieter now." Ling Xiao nodded with a smile and sat down at the head of the table. Yi Qingchan and Feng Jiao were still standing behind him. Only Yi Xing hesitated for a moment, before kneeling before Ling Xiao's feet like a pet dog. At this moment, he did not feel ashamed. Instead, he felt incomparably proud. What a joke! Didn't they see the envy in the eyes of those saintesses who were usually high and mighty all the way here? To be able to follow by Lord Ling Xiao's side, even if they were to be a dog, they would be the dog with the highest status in the northern wilderness. "Young master, let me introduce you. This is the crown prince of the great Qin dynasty in Quebec. This is the young master of the Fu Hai sect, Jiao Yun. This is the young master of the ancient Phoenix clan." Huang Qi Xiao Yan began to introduce everyone's identities to Ling Xiao one by one. The prodigies of the ancient Zhong dynasty also began to show off their abilities. Especially those proud girls, each of them acted as if they were injected with chicken blood. This caused Yi Qingchan's heart to be filled with disdain. It was true that she was the #1 beauty in the northern wilderness, but these girls in front of her were also beautiful. Although Ling Xiao appeared to be uninterested at this time, Yi Qingchan knew that this young master was very bad in his bones. Thus, she was a little nervous at this moment, afraid that Ling Xiao would take a fancy to some other girl and keep them by his side. Unknowingly, the young miss of the Xianjian sect, who only wanted to follow Ling Xiao to the Xingzhou continent, had started to have some feelings. Of course, no matter how jealous Yi Qingchan was, she knew that a young master of the Xingzhou continent like Ling Xiao would be the most dazzling existence wherever he went. It was impossible for a man like him to only have one woman. But jealousy was a woman's nature. Yi Qingchan only hoped that after returning to the Xingzhou continent, she could still be by Ling Xiao's side like now. "Huang Qi?" Ling Xiao's gaze paused on the young master of the Phoenix clan for a moment, the corner of his mouth revealing a faint playful smile. From the moment he entered, Huang Qi's gaze had been on Feng Jiao. It was obvious that this was another young prodigy who had fallen under the skirt of the Thousand Charm Sect's saintess. "But if you like it, I'll pretend that I didn't notice you sneaking glances. After all, we're all men." But what's the meaning of staring at Feng Jiao so brazenly? As if sensing Ling Xiao's gaze, Xiao Yan was slightly taken aback, then turned to look at Huang Qi. "Cough cough, brother Huang." He naturally knew that this young master of the Phoenix clan was Feng Jiao's biggest suitor. Previously, there was a young master of a force in the northern wilderness who liked Feng Jiao and said that he would marry her unless he died. In the end, he died the next day. His corpse was hung at the entrance of the sect. Even his crotch had been cruelly cut off. Later on, someone analyzed that it should have been cut off when he was still alive. Although no one knew how this analysis was done. But no one dared to ask, for fear of angering the young master of the Phoenix clan. "I heard that Lord Ling Xiao came from the Xingzhou continent. I wonder if young master has heard of the Huang clan of the Xingzhou continent?" Huang Qi sneered. His expression was the only one with arrogance among the group of northern wilderness geniuses. "The Huang clan of the Xingzhou continent?" Ling Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly. "Another fool who doesn't know what's good for him. Humph, it seems that you don't have any status in the Xingzhou continent. My ancestor of the Huang clan ascended to the Xingzhou continent 300 years ago and is now a famous expert in the Xingzhou continent. He founded the Huang clan and is famous in the region." Huang Qi's face was full of arrogance. The Phoenix clan had been the leader of the 8 great ancient clans of the northern wilderness. The most fundamental reason was that the Phoenix clan had an ancestor who ascended to the Xingzhou continent. Although the ancestor had never returned, he would send his consciousness down every once in a while and was extremely concerned about the Phoenix clan. Everyone in the northern wilderness knew about this. Therefore, under normal circumstances, the major forces would rarely be enemies with the Phoenix clan. After all, they had someone above them. If the ancestor of the Phoenix clan were to return one day, who in the northern wilderness would be able to fight against him? So, Ling Xiao picked up a cup of tea and took a sip. Seeing his action, Yi Qingchan's eyes flashed with sympathy. It was obvious that Lord Ling Xiao wanted to kill Huang Qi. I said that Feng Jiao is mine. Whoever takes her will die. Is that so? Ling Xiao suddenly raised his head, and a powerful aura instantly surged out from his body. The entire drunken immortal fell silent for a moment, and then all the northern wilderness geniuses' faces turned completely pale. Chapter 30. What a terrifying aura! Previously, everyone knew that Lord Ling Xiao's cultivation was strong. However, when they faced this young master, they realized what it meant to be strong. Even the crown prince of the great Yan dynasty, Xiao Yan, unknowingly prostrated himself on the ground under the aura. His head was drenched in cold sweat and even breathing became difficult. "Young master, please calm down." A few figures suddenly appeared in the air. One of them was a white-haired old man in a golden robe. His body trembled and a wave of spiritual energy instantly spread out, covering Huang Qi's figure. "A guardian?" Ling Xiao sneered. In any major force, there would always be a guardian behind the outstanding disciples. Although it was called a guardian, it was actually protecting one's life. A mere later stage Soul Sea Realm cultivator dared to act tough in front of Ling Xiao. He was more or less overestimating himself. "You don't know your place," Ling Xiao sneered. He did not move at all, but the aura of the old man from the Phoenix tribe instantly withered. Then, a frightening scene appeared. There seemed to be an invisible hand in the air that grabbed the old man's figure. Then, with a bang, he was crushed into a bloody mist. Blurg! The thick smell of blood instantly filled the air. Some of the cowardly geniuses from the forces had already fainted. Even Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with fear and shock. A later stage Soul Sea Realm expert was crushed into pieces in front of him just like that. Moreover, the most important thing was that he did not see when Lord Ling Xiao made his move. What a terrifying move! At this moment, the remaining protectors' faces were also ghastly pale. They looked at the young man in black who was sitting in front of the table and sipping his tea. There was nothing but fear in their hearts. Fortunately, they did not protect their young master just now. Otherwise, they would definitely end up like the elder from the Phoenix tribe. Gulp. At this moment, there was no longer any arrogance in Huang Qi's eyes. His body could not help but tremble. He suddenly regretted his decision to provoke such a demon. However, there was no such thing as regret in this world. Therefore, he was still barely standing because he still had something to rely on. I've never heard of the Xingzhou's Huang family, but 300 years ago, my Ling family took in a servant with a different surname. I think his surname was Huang, and he also came from the northern wilderness. Ling Xiao took a sip of tea and raised his head to look at the pale Huang Qi. Was this what they meant by the ignorant are fearless? Plop. Hearing this, Huang Qi's vision turned black and he suddenly knelt on the ground. 300 years ago, her surname was Huang and she came from the northern wilderness. Could it be such a coincidence? Could it be that the high and mighty old ancestor, who had protected the Huang clan for 300 years, was actually just a servant of this Ling Xiao? This was impossible. Absolutely impossible. By the way, I also have a divine soul incarnation that the Patriarch personally bestowed upon me. Huang Qi raised his head and looked at Ling Xiao. His eyes suddenly flashed with a hint of gloominess. He didn't believe that the old ancestor would be someone's servant, because the old ancestor was the proudest genius of the Huang clan. How could he be willing to be a slave? He must be acting tough to humiliate my Huang clan. With that thought in mind, Huang Qi took out a golden talisman from his pocket and threw it out when Ling Xiao was not paying attention. However, Ling Xiao was not unprepared. He was clearly disdainful. What could a hollow spirit person do in front of him? Boom! A terrifying aura instantly descended, and it was even more terrifying than Ling Xiao's aura. Heaven and earth seemed to be collapsing, and the void collapsed layer by layer. Then, a godlike figure appeared out of thin air in the Drunken Immortal Inn. Powerhouse of Paoang! At this moment, the entire Drunken Immortal Inn was dead silent. Everyone looked at the slightly illusory tall figure, their eyes filled with fear and reverence. In the northern wilderness, there hadn't been a Paoang powerhouse for 300 years. Not to mention Paoang, even the Xianqing powerhouses mostly lived in seclusion and focused on Tao. Therefore, a Soul Sea powerhouse could do whatever he wanted in the northern wilderness. This was also the reason why the group of northern wilderness prodigies were so shocked and terrified when Ling Xiao killed the Phoenix clan elder with a single palm strike. But now, a Paoang powerhouse who had ascended to the Xingzhou continent had descended. This was a miracle for anyone. Although it was only a divine soul clone, it was a godlike existence in the Four Barren Lands. Ancestor, save me! Seeing the fear and shock in everyone's eyes, Huang Qi suddenly smiled. Ling Xiao, let's see how long you can be arrogant. Disciple of the Phoenix clan, why have you summoned me? The divine soul clone did not see Ling Xiao. Instead, it turned to look at Huang Qi and frowned slightly. Boom! In an instant, heaven and earth suddenly darkened. Bolts of lightning fell like angry dragons, and it was as if they were divine. Ancestor! Someone insulted the Phoenix clan and threatened to destroy our clan. He even said that you're a slave with a different surname. Huang Qi added fuel to the fire as he looked at Ling Xiao's seat provocatively. At that moment, the entire Drunken Immortal Inn had completely collapsed. Smoke and dust filled the air, and the walls were in ruins. Only the area 100 feet in front of Ling Xiao was untouched. It was as if the gods were protecting him. How dare you humiliate the Phoenix clan like this? The divine soul clone shouted angrily and instantly crushed the void tens of thousands of miles above Green Maple City. At that moment, all the citizens of Green Maple City had knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing and praying. Even the people from the aristocratic families looked up at the cracks and lightning in the sky with despair. What a terrifying aura! What's going on? Huang Hong, it's really you. Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at the figure of the old man who stood tall in the sky. The corners of his mouth still carried a trace of playfulness. Who is it? The divine soul clone was stunned. Even the aura on his body trembled slightly. Even the collateral members of the Phoenix clan did not know his name. Moreover, why did that voice sound so familiar? Huang Hong looked down and scanned the room. Finally, his eyes stopped on the young man in black sitting in front of the table. For a moment, Huang Hong thought that he was mistaken. How could it be? How could the young master be in the northern wilderness? Plop! I didn't know that the young master was here. Please forgive me for my rudeness. The entire Drunken Immortal Inn fell silent again. Everyone looked at the mighty figure who knelt in front of Ling Xiao and swallowed hard. Lord Ling Xiao is indeed unfathomable. What did it mean to be a mighty figure? His divine consciousness was enough to crush the four wilderness. But now, the mighty figure who was like a god in the eyes of the cultivators of the four wilderness was kneeling in front of Lord Ling Xiao. Moreover, from his tone, one could tell that he must be terrified and helpless at this moment. Chapter 31. I heard that you've established a clan in the Xingzhou continent? Ling Xiao's tone was full of mockery, as if he was not surprised by what was happening. A mere servant with a different surname could be killed with a single thought. Moreover, Huang Hong was the lowest servant in the Ling family. He was a few ranks lower than Elder Yin. Of course, everyone could understand that he was bragging, so Ling Xiao wasn't angry. But the problem was that Huang Hong's bragging was so awesome that it made him uncomfortable. Therefore, he had to be punished. Ma's ancestor? At this moment, Huang Qi was completely dumbfounded. He did not expect that his ancestor, who was so high and mighty in his eyes, would kneel before a young man. Everyone looked at the calm Lord Ling Xiao and did not know whether to kneel or stand. After all, the almighty Paoang was kneeling. Wouldn't it be disrespectful for them to stand? Plop! Plop! One after another, many prodigies knelt on the ground. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. Since you're here, you can deal with it yourself. Ling Xiao stood up and walked past Huang Hong. I don't want anyone to know about what happened in the northern wilderness. With that, Ling Xiao did not look at Huang Qi again. He held Yi Qingchan's hand and walked out of the Drunken Immortal Inn. He believed that Huang Hong should know what to do. Even in the Xingzhou continent, if anyone dared to offend Lord Ling Xiao, there would only be one outcome: extermination of the clan. Yi Xing and Feng Jiao on the other hand, had arrogant expressions as they followed behind Ling Xiao and Feng Jiao, enjoying the worship of the entire audience. Ma's ancestor. After Ling Xiao and the others left, Huang Qi looked at Huang Hong, who was slowly getting to his feet in fear. He did not know why, but he felt a trace of lethargy from his ancestor. You brought this upon yourself. The Phoenix clan will be destroyed by you. Huang Hong closed his eyes and looked sorrowful. Then, he took Huang Qi and disappeared into the void. Young master, is that Paoang really a servant of your family? On the streets of Green Maple City, Ling Xiao held Yi Qingchan's hand and walked around aimlessly. Here, he could feel a trace of the true aura of smoke and fire. Ordinary people did not recognize him. Even if ordinary cultivators had heard of his name, they had never seen his face. However, Yi Qingchan and Feng Jiao were so beautiful that they attracted the attention of most people. Yes. Most people who enter the Xingzhou continent from the Four Baron become servants of the ancient clans. This is their fortune. Ling Xiao nodded with a smile. His gaze was gentle, completely different from the cold-blooded and heartless person from before. Fortune? Yi Qingchan was taken aback. How could being a servant be a blessing? That's right. Anyone who enters the Xingzhou continent from the Four Baron is like a wild beast in the forest. They belong to whoever hunts them. Many of them become the Almighty's pill slaves or sword slaves. They are even refined into puppets and lose their freedom for life. Don't you think that becoming a servant of a different surname is a fortune? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He wasn't trying to scare Yi Qingchan with alarmism. In fact, the darkness of the Xingzhou continent was far crueler than his words. In a world where the strong were respected, the weak did not even have their own lives, let alone dignity. There were many strong people in the Xingzhou continent and thousands of clans. There were many grudges between them. Therefore, even the strongest people had to check the almanac before they went out. It was common for them to be plotted against and die. The Xingzhou continent is so scary? Yi Qingchan and Feng Jiao were stunned. They were clearly a little nervous. What do you think? And a beautiful girl like you will often be targeted by some old monsters. They will kidnap you and turn you into a cauldron. Not only that, some perverted people will even turn you into a specimen, and then, tisk, it's too perverted. Ling Zhao's entire body shuddered, scaring Yi Qingchan and Feng Jiao so much that their faces turned white. Young master, you will protect me, right? Yi Qingchan hurriedly hugged Ling Zhao's arm. The softness of her chest made the latter unconsciously smile. Of course. In the Xingzhou continent, there is no one that my Ling family cannot protect. As long as you are obedient, no one can hurt you. Thank you, young master. Young master is the best. Yi Qingchan pressed her face against Ling Zhao's body in satisfaction. Young master, what about me? Feng Jiao hesitated for a long time before she gathered her courage and asked. You? Let's talk about it in the future. Ling Xiao calmly shook his head. This Feng Jiao was of no value to him. The reason why he did not reject her that day was because she had 50 luck points on her. Ling Xiao was just a little curious as to where a woman with such mediocre aptitude like her got her luck from. Now that Ling Xiao knew, it must be related to Yi Fan. However, Ling Xiao did not plan to chase her away now because she was useful now. Just as the four of them walked along the street towards the center of the ancient city, in the distant crowd, there was a familiar fluctuation that made Ling Xiao's expression freeze. It was a figure covered in a black cloak, leaving only 2 eyes exposed. The aura of the peak of the ethereal spirit realm was surging around him. He was already 1 step into the awakening spirit realm. This outfit is a little interesting. Ling Xiao laughed involuntarily. Just from this outfit, he felt that this Yi Fan did have a story. He carefully hid his identity. He must have done some shady business. What kind of business is it? Ling Xiao lifted his feet and followed the direction Yi Fan left. Young master, what did you say? Nothing. When I went out today, I saw colorful clouds in the sky. Maybe something good will happen later. Ling Xiao held Yi Qingchan's hand and followed Yi Fan all the way to a remote market in the north of Qing City. It was just that the things sold here were not ordinary things. They were all kinds of strange spirit treasures and pills. As expected, this kind of market was a place where the Son of Destiny should come. Ling Xiao suddenly felt a little excited. If this Yi Fan was the Son of Destiny that he was looking for, then all that was left was to wait for him to go out and find treasures for him. Young master, why did you come to this kind of place? Yi Qingchan frowned slightly and looked at the vendors around her with some puzzlement. This kind of place, to put it nicely, was a place for cultivators to find treasures. To put it bluntly, it was a place to trick people. And with Ling Xiao's identity, he could give away his inherited divine weapons casually. Why would he be interested in these scrap metals? Of course, Ling Xiao was not looking for treasures. He just wanted to see if Yi Fan could find anything here. Soon, Yi Fan's figure stopped in front of a stall. The owner of the stall was an old man with a white beard and sloppy clothes. When the old man saw Yi Fan, he had a look of disdain on his face and lay on the chair without moving. This was the attitude. This stall was definitely going to sell treasures. Chapter 32. It was common knowledge that ordinary cultivators would most likely be scammed when they visited stalls. However, the chosen one was blessed with providence. The things that they liked were things that others did not care about, but there was definitely something special about them. Especially the reaction of the stall owner. If he was too enthusiastic, there would usually be nothing good. The more indifferent he was, the more pretentious he would be. Everyone knew these tricks, which was why Ling Xiao was so excited. However, he did not know what kind of fortune Yi Fan would obtain here today. Just thinking about it made him a little excited. Ling Xiao led Yi Qingchan and the others to the stall and pretended not to recognize Yi Fan. Of course, Yi Fan's aura was definitely at the peak of the void spirit stage. Neither Yi Xing nor Yi Qingchan would associate him with Yi Fan. When Yi Fan saw Ling Xiao and the others, his aura was obviously stifled. Boss, how much is this metal piece? Yi Fan purposely lowered his voice and picked up a piece of broken black metal on the stall. It's settled. If ordinary people saw this thing, they would most likely think that it was a fragment of some spirit treasure and had no value at all. However, Yi Fan was extremely excited. Another piece. Before this, he had accidentally picked up a piece of black metal like this. There was a very ancient map hidden in it. However, that map was incomplete, so he liked to visit Green Maple City's markets and auctions to try his luck. He did not expect that he would really encounter it today. Otherwise, luck was a mysterious and unfathomable thing. Of course, how else would he be able to show off his protagonist aura? Although the map in Yi Dan's hand was incomplete, It was obvious that it was the northern wilderness, a place close to the eastern wilderness that was a forbidden area for humans. And in such places, what appeared were usually ancient ruins that contained great fortune, but at the same time, great danger. Of course, Yi Fan still tried his best to make his tone sound indifferent. After all, Ling Xiao was right beside him. If he appeared too anxious, it would inevitably attract suspicion. 100 spirit stones. The old man opened his eyes and glanced at Yi Fan. His gaze paused on Ling Xiao for a moment before he said lazily, 100 spirit stones! Yi Fan exclaimed and almost exposed his real voice. He quickly coughed and asked coldly, how can this piece of scrap metal be worth 100 spirit stones? Why would you buy a piece of scrap metal? Are you stupid? The old man's reason was so strong that Yi Fan was stunned on the spot. Humph, I want this iron plate, but I don't have so many spirit stones on me. Can I exchange for it? Yi Fan gritted his teeth and took out a jade bottle from his Qiankuan bag. Here's a bottle of spirit ascension pills, second-tier pills. How about exchanging this piece of scrap metal for you? No, I only want spirit stones. The old man did not even look at Yi Fan and rejected him directly. This bottle of spirit ascension pills is of the highest quality even among second-grade pills. Ah, sire, I'll take your spirit ascension pill. 100 spirit stones, right? Ling Xiao suddenly walked in front of Yi Fan and took out a bag of spirit stones and handed it over. It was a second-grade pill, and it was a top-grade spirit ascension pill. If it was sold in an auction house, it would definitely be worth more than 100 spirit stones. Of course, Ling Xiao did not care about the pills. He just wanted to help Yi Fan get this piece of scrap metal as soon as possible. Perhaps this was the map of the ruins where the Tao of creation was located? Thank you. Yi Fan looked coldly at Ling Xiao, threw the spirit stones to the old man and left with the scrap metal. He knows Qi observation technique, knows alchemy, and hides his cultivation level. What kind of trick is this Yi Fan using? Ling Xiao looked at the figure that had disappeared into the crowd with a meaningful gaze. No matter what trick Yi Fan used, he had to think of a way to help him speed up his progress. If it was not for Ling Xiao's sudden appearance, Yi Fan would have to accumulate a certain amount of strength to defeat the Yi family before going out to seek opportunities. However, Ling Xiao did not have the time to wait for him to grow in the northern wilderness. Therefore, he had to think of a way to figure out Yi Fan's trump card and give him some stimulation so that he could embark on the path of finding opportunities earlier. But what stimulation should he give him? Ling Zhao's gaze fell on Yi Xing, Yi Qingchan, and Feng Jiao. From what happened in the hall today, he could see that Yi Fan had some evil intentions towards Yi Qingchan. As Yi Fan's ex-fiancé, Feng Jiao must have left a scar in his heart. Therefore, he could make use of it. Young master? Yi Qingchan saw Ling Zhao's gaze and the smirk on his face, and her heart skipped a beat. Young master must be up to no good again. Let's go back. Young master Yi, I'll give you the pills. Ling Xiao ignored Yi Qingchan's suspicion and led them back to the Yi family. Thank you, young master. 100 spirit stones was not a small expenditure to Yi Xing. As expected, as long as he followed Lord Ling Xiao, not only would he gain prestige, but he would also gain opportunities. At this moment, what happened in the Drunken Immortal Inn had spread throughout Green Maple City. The young master of the Huang family, Huang Qi, did not know what was good for him and provoked Lord Ling Xiao in public. He even summoned his ancestor's soul. In the end, he was mercilessly slapped in the face by Lord Ling Xiao. Not only did his ancestor kneel down and admit his mistake, but the entire Huang family was reduced to nothingness overnight. To all the forces in the northern wilderness, this was like a bolt from the blue. Although they already knew that Lord Ling Xiao was mysterious and had a powerful background, they did not expect him to be so powerful. Even in their dreams, they did not expect the Ling family to be so terrifying. A mighty Paong state cultivator was just a servant of the Ling family with a different surname. What kind of terrifying foundation was this? Even thinking about it made people feel a chill run down their back. Lord Ling Xiao is back. Outside the hall, there was a sudden exclamation. Then, all the members of the Yi family swarmed over and bowed to Ling Xiao in an orderly manner. Welcome, young master. Head of the Yi family, did something happen? Ling Xiao was a little confused. Why did the expressions of the Yi family members change when they saw him after he returned from a trip? They all kept quiet out of fear, and did not even dare to breathe loudly. No, young master, did you have a good trip? Actually, Yi Lufeng was afraid that Ling Xiao would vent his anger on the Yi family. After all, he was the one who helped Xiao Yan arrange a meeting with Ling Xiao. And once this Xingzhou young master was dissatisfied, the Yi family would not be able to escape the fate of destruction. Accompanying a ruler was like accompanying a tiger. Yi Lufeng finally understood this saying. Yes, of course I was happy. If head of the Yi family has nothing else to do, please arrange a place for me to rest. Nonsense, how could he not be happy? Yi Fan had obtained a destiny, which was equivalent to him obtaining a destiny. He had to quickly think of a way to provoke this child of destiny. If young master doesn't mind, I will send someone to tidy up my residence. No need, find me a quiet place. A quiet place? Sheng, bring young master to the backyard and let him choose a courtyard that he is satisfied with. Yi Luyun did not dare to delay, and quickly ordered Yi Sheng to bring Ling Xiao to rest. After Ling Xiao and the other two entered the backyard, he sent Yi Sheng away. Young master, I want to go and see your cousin? Go quickly. What surprised Yi Qingchan was that Ling Xiao actually agreed to her request. Young master, why are you still in a daze? You siblings have not seen each other for a long time, you should have a good chat. Ling Xiao grinned. Although Yi Qingchan was suspicious, she still obediently left. After Yi Qingchan left, Ling Xiao then placed his gaze on Feng Jiao Air. Especially the sinister smile on his face, it caused the thousand charm sex holy maiden's body to tremble. Young master, please be gentle. Chapter 33. Gently. Ling Zhao's expression froze for a moment before he understood what Feng Jiao Air meant. I have something I need you to do now. Young master. I understand. Feng Jiao took a step in front of Ling Xiao, and before Ling Xiao could stop her, she had already taken off her clothes. It's not about this, although Ling Xiao really wanted to have a taste of this thousand charm sex saintess. It was obvious that the fortune was more important. Especially since Yi Qingchan wasn't around, he had to instruct Feng Jiao properly. Feng Jiao didn't care about what Ling Xiao was talking about, as she couldn't help but moan softly. Feng Jiao, I need you to seduce Yi Fan. Ling Xiao forcefully suppressed the evil thoughts in his heart. He wasn't a saint, and Feng Jiao was indeed quite pretty. That tiny waist of hers was really infuriating. Seduce Yi Fan? Feng Jiao's charming face instantly froze as she looked at Ling Xiao in disbelief. What was young master thinking? Could it be that he was testing her? Otherwise, why would he want her to seduce that trash? This Yi Fan has some secrets, and I hope that you can help me find out. Can you do it? Ling Zhao's expression gradually turned serious. Only the right medicine could be used. If he didn't even know what Yi Fan's trump card was, how was he going to carry out the next step of his plan? Moreover, Yi Fan was cautious by nature. If he didn't provoke him, it would be difficult to make him reveal his trump card. Yi Qingchan was naturally the most suitable person to do this, but Ling Xiao couldn't bear to do it after weighing the pros and cons. Feng Jiao was at most a toy to him. If she were to seduce Yi Fan, it wouldn't matter if she succeeded or failed. Of course, with Ling Zhao's current luck points, he wouldn't be punished by heaven even if he killed Yi Fan. Even if he had a great fortune, he might not be able to shake Ling Xiao. It was just that since ancient times, most villains died because of their carelessness. Yi Fan hid it too well. A dog that didn't bark was the most dangerous. Moreover, he was still counting on Yi Fan to open the secret map and lead him to the fortune. It would be too boring to kill him directly. Young master, Yi Fan and I no longer have any relationship. Don't worry, I'm not testing you. Yi Fan is not a simple person. Go and check him out. After you succeed, I'll give you a divine weapon. Ling Xiao naturally knew what Feng Jiao was worried about. You should be able to do it, right? Feng Jiao delicate body trembled, and her body twisted even more violently. Don't worry, young master. I'll definitely make Yi Fan surrender. No. Later, you just have to push the blame to me and make him trust you. Then, Ling Xiao leaned over and whispered a few words into Feng Jiao's ear. The hot air he exhaled made Feng Jiao's face turn red and her whole body heat up. Young master, why don't we do something interesting first? Yi Qingchan left Ling Xiao's residence and went directly to Yi Fan's courtyard. Ever since he was young, Yi Fan had been living in this remote courtyard far away from the Yi family's main hall. He was isolated and ignored by the entire Yi family. Cousin Yi Fan. Yi Qingchan stood outside the courtyard and called out softly. It's Cousin Qingchan. In the thatched cottage, Yi Fan's face instantly showed a smile. He hurriedly put the 2 pieces of metal into his storage pouch and walked out of the house. Qingchan. Yi Fan opened the door and looked at the beautiful girl with a smile on her face. His eyes were filled with infatuation. Cousin Yi Fan, aren't you going to invite me in? Yi Qingchan covered her mouth and chuckled. This cousin of hers was still as silly as before. Even though he was born with a crippled meridian and could not enter the path of immortality, he had a strong heart and would not give in easily. This was quite attractive to Yi Qingchan. Qingchan, come in quickly. Yi Fan instinctively reached out to grab Yi Qingchan's hand, but she avoided it. Yi Fan's face stiffened and smiled helplessly. Qingchan has grown up. But when he turned his face, a cold glint flashed across his eyes. Even if he did not want to believe it, he could still feel Yi Qingchan's distance from him. One must know that when they were young, the 2 of them would often hold hands and play outside the city. Cousin Yi Fan, are you still living here alone? Yi Qingchan walked into the courtyard and looked at the shabby thatched cottage. Her heart ached slightly. Yes, I have always lived here. Qingchan, do you still remember? That time, it was here that you stood up for me. You drew your sword and injured Yi Xing. You were scolded by third uncle. Yi Fan's eyes were filled with reminiscence. It was because of that sword that he had to compromise in the Yi family for so long. His motive was naturally to see Yi Qingchan one more time. Otherwise, what was there to miss about a mere Yi family? At that time, cousin Yi Xing was too domineering, and I could not stand it. But this time, his personality seems to have changed a lot. Cousin Yi Fan, how have you been recently? Are you still unable to cultivate spiritual power? Yi Qingchan said a few words casually as if she did not feel that the memory was so unforgettable. Yi Fan actually wanted to tell Yi Qingchan about his current cultivation level. But seeing this cousin's attitude, he hesitated. He definitely could not reveal his trump card easily. Otherwise, it would definitely attract the attention of countless experts. If Yi Qingchan was still the same as before and their hearts were connected, he would not hide anything from her. But now, Qingchan, I heard that you are now following that Ling Xiao and are only a servant girl? Yi Fan brought over some tea and purposely tested Yi Qingchan. Yes, Sky venerable young master, I am already very satisfied to be a servant girl by his side. Yi Qingchan lowered her head and smiled. She actually looked a little shy. Yi Fan could not help but clench his fists. The depths of his eyes were filled with coldness. Qingchan, with your looks, you should be a phoenix soaring in the 9 heavens. How can you lower yourself to be someone's servant girl? Did Ling Xiao force you to do this, or did he lie to you? In Yi Fan's eyes, although Ling Xiao was from the Xingzhou, his status was just SOSO. His mother was also from the Xingzhou and had left him a supreme treasure. So, sooner or later, he would step foot there and become famous. He would take back his mother and kill all his enemies. Cousin Yi Fan? What are you thinking about? Yi Qingchan was stunned. Especially at this moment, the murderous intent in Yi Fan's eyes made her feel a chill in her heart. Young master treats me very well. Cousin, you are always so unambitious. What will you do in the future? Why don't I ask young master if he can solve your crippled meridian problem? Unambitious? Yi Fan was stunned. His originally gentle face was instantly filled with a gloomy coldness. Chapter 34. So this is how my cousin thinks of me. To be honest, Yi Fan was feeling very uncomfortable and depressed. He even had the urge to tell Yi Qingchan his true cultivation level. But in the end, he restrained himself. Although he was not afraid of Ling Xiao, he was still not strong enough to fight against the Xingzhou young master. He could only bear with it for now. Moreover, there was an ancient map drawn on the metal piece that he had just found. If Yi Fan's guess was right, that should be an ancient secret realm. But he was not sure what kind of creation it contained. But it was obvious that it would not be too bad. Yi Fan's intuition told him that whether he could become an immortal or not depended on this secret realm. All these years of experience had made him mature beyond his age. So he was destined not to play himself to death so easily. Instead, he would be played to death by Ling Xiao after all the light and heat in his body had dissipated. Cousin? Cousin? Yi Qingchan looked uneasily at Yi Fan, who was in a daze. She did not know if it was an illusion, but she felt that she could not see through the current Yi Fan. Qingchan, what did you say? Yi Fan came back to his senses and showed a gentle smile. I say, do you want young Master Ling Xiao to take a look at your meridians and see what's going on? Lord Ling Xiao was the one who helped me get rid of the poison in my body. Yi Qingchan's face turned slightly red as she spoke. This caused Yi Fan to feel extremely humiliated. No need. Cousin, you don't have to worry about my matters. Yi Fan looked coldly at Yi Qingchan, then got up and walked into the hut. Cousin, if there's nothing else, please go back. I want to rest. Cousin Yi Fan, Yi Qingchan looked at Yi Fan's back in a daze. She could not understand why her cousin was suddenly angry. Yi Qingchan, you will be mine sooner or later. Only mine. Yi Fan leaned against the door and clenched his fist. A black light gradually appeared in his eyes, revealing a mysterious and evil aura. Is young Master Yi Fan here? However, just as the black light in his eyes grew more intense, a sweet and melodious female voice came from outside the courtyard again. Who is it? Yi Qingchan returned to Ling Xiao's residence with a gloomy expression. What happened? Ling Xiao looked at her meaningfully, and the corners of his mouth curled into a playful smile. Needless to say, he could guess why Yi Qingchan was unhappy. She must have quarreled with Yi Fan. The system notification sounded several times. Now that Feng Jiao Air had taken the initiative to send warmth, Yi Fan would definitely feel that she was being considerate. It was a sure win. Young master, do you think that people change? Yi Qingchan pouted as she sat in front of Ling Xiao, looking a little wronged. Initially, she only wanted Ling Xiao to take a look at Yi Fan's meridians out of goodwill. Who knew that not only did that fellow not appreciate her kindness, he even chased her out. Yes, the only thing that will never change in this world is change. Ling Xiao said a sentence that had a deep meaning. Yi Qingchan obviously did not understand. I clearly wanted you to help him out of goodwill. Why is he angry? Really? Yi Fan? Angry? Ling Xiao's playful expression became more intense. This girl was usually very smart. Why was her reaction so slow this time? Anyone with a discerning eye could see something from the way Yi Fan looked at Yi Qingqian. However, this girl only thought that it was a normal relationship between cousins. How could he not be angry? After all, he was the chosen one. Whatever he wanted, someone would immediately deliver it to him. Qingqian, do you feel that your cousin is different from before? Ling Xiao picked up the wine cup on the table and drank it in one gulp. At this moment, he did not look at Yi Qingqian and pretended to ask casually. Something different? Young master, if you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. When I stood beside cousin Yi Fan just now, I actually felt a chill. But he clearly has no cultivation. Yi Qingqian appeared to be very confused. Usually, this kind of chill would be due to the suppression of cultivation or the fear of facing a strong opponent. However, Yi Fan did not even cultivate spiritual power. How could he make her feel scared? Chill? Ling Zhao's face suddenly showed a trace of curiosity. Yi Qingqian had the divine artifact Great Void Cauldron that he gave her. If it was an ordinary spiritual treasure, its aura would not be able to suppress the Great Void Cauldron. In that case, the treasure that Yi Fan had was at least something more terrifying than a divine artifact. Interesting. Ling Xiao naturally did not care about a mere low-grade divine artifact. However, if it was a peerless divine artifact or a Dao artifact, it would be a rare treasure even in Xingzhou. Let's see if Feng Jiao can bring some useful information. Ling Xiao glanced at his empty wine cup. Yi Qingqian immediately tactfully filled it up for him. The sadness between her brows was not as obvious as before. After all, Yi Fan was not considered an important person on her journey to immortality. It was far from enough to affect her Dao heart. However, the change in his attitude towards her more or less made Yi Qingqian feel a little disappointed. On the other side, Feng Jiao sat opposite Yi Fan. There were faint traces of tears on her pretty face. So, when you broke off the engagement, it was completely your master who forced you to do so? Yi Fan frowned as if he did not believe it. If not for my master's coercion, how could I be so heartless as to let go of this 10-year engagement? Brother Yi Fan, have you forgotten how happy we were when we were young? Yi Fan did not deny this point. When the two families were engaged, Feng Jiao did come to visit him frequently. However, what he did not know was that the Feng family at that time was only a third-rate family in Green Maple City. It was not easy for him to hug the Yi family's thigh. How could he bear to let it go? Yi Fan was born with a crippled meridian. However, he was still the young master of the Yi family. When the old master of the Yi family was still alive, his heart ached for him. Then why did you come here today? Yi Fan looked at the sadness in Feng Jiao's eyes. There was an indescribable flame burning in his heart. At this moment, he really wanted to hug this thousand charms sex holy maiden and comfort her. It was not that Yi Fan was aroused by her beauty. It was that Feng Jiao was secretly using her charm technique. Especially this kind of charm technique that was based on sorrow. It was very difficult for ordinary people to resist. I did not come here to ask for Brother Yi Fan's forgiveness. It's just that when I see you, my heart hurts terribly. Feng Jiao covered her face and wept. Her tears wet the front of her clothes. I know that this is my retribution. Originally, I wanted to wait for my cultivation to become stronger before coming down the mountain to look for Brother Yi Fan. However, I did not expect that my master would be so heartless. She actually bestowed me to Ling Xiao as a servant girl. Sob, 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 sob. The more Feng Jiao spoke, the sadder she became. In the end, she actually burst into tears. Yi Fan's heart trembled. He felt that what Feng Jiao said was true. Otherwise, why would she put on an act with him? After all, Yi Fan thought that he had hidden it well enough and that no one would know about his secret. As for a good-for-nothing, how could this thousand charms sex holy maiden scheme against him? Chapter 35. That Lord Ling Shao has a terrifying background. He's a noble from the Xingzhou continent. Don't many geniuses from the northern wilderness want to get close to him? Why are you unhappy instead? When Yi Fan thought about how Yi Qingchan mentioned Lord Ling Shao and Lord Ling Shao, he felt annoyed. Unknowingly, he had completely fallen into Feng Jiao Er's trap. Loosening the reins only to grasp them better was the most natural and effective way to capture someone. Especially when it was used by a genius who knew seduction techniques, it made people unable to stop even if they wanted to. Brother Yi Fan, how do you know how perverted that Ling Shao is? Feng Jiao Er smiled bitterly and bit her red lips. She was indescribably seductive. That Ling Shao looks like a gentleman in front of others, but behind his back, he's the dirtiest person I've ever seen. Sister Qingchan and I have been following him all day long. You still don't know, right? Sister Qingchan had a senior brother who was beaten to death by Ling Shao because he was close to her. This was what Ling Shao taught Feng Jiao Er. Yi Fan's personality was too calm, so a simple honey trap might not work on him. Therefore, Ling Shao planned to give him some pressure and force him to make a move. In this way, Ling Shao would naturally know what tricks he had up his sleeve. With Elder Yin behind him, Ling Shao was already prepared. A mere ant who had not even reached the awakening god realm would not be able to threaten his life. The Son of Destiny was indeed blessed by Providence and was protected by the heavenly Tao. However, this protection was based on the premise that his life was threatened. Now that Ling Shao was not making a move and forced him to make a move, how could the heavenly Tao protect him? Could it be that the heavenly Tao would help the Son of Destiny kill whoever he wanted to kill? Of course, this was impossible, because the heavenly Tao also believed that only the Son of Destiny, who had been through many trials and tribulations, was the true Son of Destiny. Don't ask me how I know. If you ask, it means that the heavenly Tao was not written by us. What? A black glow instantly surged out from Yi Fan's eyes. Even the aura around him gradually turned cold. As expected, cousin Qingchan was forced. She must be like him, having her own difficulties. He hated himself for treating her like that just now. Junior Martial Sister Qingchan must be very sad right now, right? Brother Yi Fan, don't get too worked up. Although I've always believed that you'll definitely become the most dazzling prodigy in the northern wilderness, you're definitely not a match for that Ling Shao now. His cultivation is terrifying, at least in the Soul Sea realm. Not to mention you, even my master isn't a match for him. What Feng Jiao Er said at this moment was 30% true and 70% false. But the more it was like this, the easier it was for people to believe. Humph, Soul Sea realm. Yi Fan's face revealed a trace of disdain while Feng Jiao Er's eyes flashed with a trace of ridicule. Lord Ling Zhao's guess was right. Yi Fan was definitely hiding some terrifying means. Soul Sea realm experts were the best in the northern wilderness. If an ordinary person heard the word Soul Sea, they would definitely be afraid. However, at that moment, not only was Yi Fan not afraid, he even revealed a trace of disdain. What a terrifying shrewdness! At that moment, even Feng Jiao Er couldn't help but feel a chill down her spine. Once Yi Fan grew stronger, she was afraid that the first person he would target would be her. No, even if she had to put in some effort today, she had to find out Yi Fan's trump card so that Lord Ling Shao could quickly take care of him. Brother Yi Fan, I didn't come to look for you today for any other reason. It's just that I'm really depressed and wanted to find someone to talk to. We grew up together. You'll definitely help me keep this a secret. Otherwise, if that Ling Shao finds out, Feng Jiao Er's eyes revealed a trace of fear, and then she looked at Yi Fan with a pleading look. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. However, it's not a good idea for you to stay by his side like this. At that moment, Yi Fan didn't doubt Feng Jiao Er at all. After all, her fear didn't seem to be fake. Brother Yi Fan, I know that you treat me the best. If possible, Jiao Er is willing to be your fiancé in my next life. Feng Jiao Er saw that Yi Fan had more or less believed her. She instantly jumped into his embrace and said softly, Jiao Er, Yi Fan was indeed worthy of being the son of destiny, the main character of the righteous faction. Now that a beauty threw herself into his embrace, he actually appeared to be extremely uneasy. If it was Ling Xiao, he would have already stripped her naked and eaten her up. Brother Yi Fan, let Jiao Er hug you for a while. Otherwise, you might not have another chance in the future. Feng Jiao Er gently swayed her body and just happened to stick to Yi Fan's body. Feeling that faintly discernible stimulation, Yi Fan's eyes gradually became blurred. At that moment, he wasn't only worried about Feng Jiao Er's safety. More importantly, Qing Chan was also in Ling Zhao's hands. His rationality was rapidly fading. Suddenly, a trace of light flashed in Yi Fan's eyes. Jiao Er, you go back first. I'll think of a way to get rid of that Ling Xiao. Brother Yi Fan, don't worry. Others might be afraid of him, but I'm not. You just need to go back and wait. Also, tell cousin sister Qing Chan that I won't let her suffer. Yi Fan took a deep breath. At that moment, he had already made up his mind. Kill Ling Xiao, take back his beloved woman and walk to the peak of his life. That was his plan. However, all of this was already seen through by Ling Xiao. No matter how deep Yi Fan's shrewdness was, how could he possibly win against a reborn villain who was looking down at him from a god's perspective? Even now, the pitiful Yi Fan still didn't know that he had completely fallen into the trap that Ling Xiao had prepared for him. Jiao Er, you're so beautiful. It was so much so that after completely letting down his guard, Yi Fan's lust gradually increased. There was even a trace of shyness on his face. Brother Yi Fan, I want to be hugged by you like this every day. Feng Jiao Er's voice was a bit blurred. However, her eyes were terrifyingly calm. There was even a trace of playfulness on the corner of her mouth. All right. Tonight, I will eliminate that Ling Xiao. You must remember to hide far away. It's best if you let others know where you are so that you won't be implicated. Also, cousin sister Qing Chan, you must protect yourselves well. After tonight, we can be together every day. Yi Fan took a deep breath of the fragrance on Feng Jiao Er's neck. Just when he was about to extend his hand into her collar, the latter suddenly stood up and stared at him shyly. Brother Yi Fan, you're so naughty. I have to go back. Otherwise, that Ling Xiao will be suspicious. Jiao Er, at that moment, Yi Fan was already infatuated with Feng Jiao Er's teasing. There were only some matters of love left in his mind. Suddenly being interrupted by Feng Jiao Er, he instantly felt a little disappointed. Brother Yi Fan, I want to be with you openly one day. Now that it's like this, I'm afraid, Feng Jiao Er revealed a trace of grievance. Yi Fan's eyes no longer concealed the killing intent in them. All right. Go back and wait. Tonight, Ling Xiao will definitely die. Chapter 36. The night breeze was cool, and the moon shone down on the lone branch. Darkness shrouded the earth, and everywhere was quiet. Tonight was indeed a good time to kill someone. Ling Xiao stood in front of the window and looked at the cold moon above his head with a smile on his face. So, you're saying that Yi Fan knows that I'm at the Soul Sea Realm and even behaved very disdainfully? Yes, young master. He said that tonight, he will make a move on young master. Feng Jiao Er had already put away the flirtatious expression on her face, and her expression was somewhat dignified. Yi Fan gave her an extremely dangerous feeling today. Although she didn't know what kind of secret the former was hiding. But to be able to slay a Soul Sea powerhouse, presumably, it must be extremely horrifying. If it was in the past, Feng Jiao Er would definitely feel uneasy. But today, she saw with her own eyes that Ling Xiao had casually crushed a Soul Sea expert to death in the Drunken Immortal Inn. She believed that a mere Yi Fan shouldn't be taken seriously by her young master, right? You've done well in this matter. This is a low-quality god artifact, an inheritance treasure of the beast control sect. I've already wiped away the consciousness on it, so you only need to become its master. Ling Xiao casually passed a ring-shaped spirit treasure to Feng Jiao Air. Many thanks, young master. Feng Jiao Air's face was filled with joy. Although a legendary weapon was not worth mentioning to Ling Xiao, to the Northern Barren Territories elites, it was a supreme fortune. Go back first and look for Qingchan. No matter what you hear later, don't let her come out. Ling Xiao waved his hand to send Feng Jiao Air away. Then, he no longer concealed the killing intent in his eyes. Elder Yin. Young master. The space fluctuated, and old Yin's silhouette appeared in the room. Pay attention to Yi Fan's movements, but don't attack him. He is confident that he can kill Hun Hai. I'm afraid that he is very confident in his trump card. Ling Xiao didn't show the slightest hint of panic on his face. Instead, he looked a little excited. The more shocking Yi Fan's secret was, the more interesting this game would be. Otherwise, he could kill any child of destiny with a wave of his hand. Only the feeling of plundering providence made him feel good. The path of being a villain was truly one that couldn't be stopped. There's going to be a good show tonight. Ling Xiao closed the window and sat at the table again, pouring himself a cup of sake. The room gradually quieted down. Occasionally, the sound of insects chirping could be heard from the courtyard, making the night less lonely. On the other side, Feng Jiao left Ling Xiao's room and went directly to Yi Qingchan's. Miss Qingchan, young master asked me to come over. Feng Jiao stood in front of Yi Qingchan's door. Her face was no longer as humble and flattering as before. Instead, it was filled with arrogance. She was the saintess of the Thousand Charms sect, one of the 8 sections. Logically speaking, her status in the northern wilderness should be higher than Yi Qingchan. Even his cultivation base had entered the awakened god realm a long time ago. Although Yi Qingchan was recognized as the #1 beauty in the northern wilderness, in Feng Jiao eyes, she was nothing. She was just lucky to be favored by the young master. But as a woman, Feng Jiao believed that she understood men better than Yi Qingchan. Over the past few years, countless elites from the northern wilderness had submitted to her, and most of them had walked right into her trap. Feng Jiao believed that as long as she could stay by the young master's side, she would replace Yi Qingchan and obtain the young master's favor. Young master asked you to come over? Yi Qingchan frowned. Especially when she saw the cold arrogance on Feng Jiao's face, a hint of gloominess flashed in her eyes. Why did young master ask you to come over? To accompany you. Feng Jiao didn't explain too much. She pushed the door open and walked in. You? What did you do just now? Yi Qingchan frowned. Her voice was cold and stiff. I did something for young master. Feng Jiao glanced at Yi Qingchan proudly. As expected, she saw a hint of disappointment in her eyes. Aren't you curious about what young master asked me to do? What did you do? Young master didn't allow me to say. You! Yi Qingchan was furious, but she didn't dare to fall out with Feng Jiao. After all, she definitely wouldn't dare to use the young master's name to provoke her. Feng Jiao might have really helped the young master achieve something big and obtained the young master's appreciation. Thinking of this, Yi Qingchan suddenly felt a little disappointed. Although Ling Xiao always said sweet nothings to her, he had never asked her to do anything. On the other hand, Feng Jiao had only been with the young master for a few days and had already obtained the young master's favor. If this continued, she was afraid that she would be kicked away from the young master's side by Feng Jiao, sooner or later. At the same time, in the small courtyard where Yi Fan was, one could only see streaks of light spreading out from the hut. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. Yi Fan stood in an unfamiliar space that was completely dark. His expression was a little ferocious. What was even more frightening was that his eyes had turned completely pitch black at this moment. There were no whites in his eyes, no emotions. He was as cold as a demon that had walked out of hell. At the end of this strange space, the sound of metal chains colliding could be heard from time to time. It made one's hair stand on end. The 8 desolation glazed pagoda suppresses the most terrifying demons in Xingzhou. I can only open the first level now, but it should be enough to deal with a mere soul sea cultivator. Yi Fan took a deep breath and walked towards the place where the sound of metal chains came from. Da-da-da. There seemed to be no end to the darkness. It was pitch black as far as the eye could see. Until, suddenly, there were 2 scarlet lights in the distance. Yi Fan's footsteps then stopped. Demon, we meet again. Roar! There was an angry roar from the 2 scarlet lights. Immediately after, a huge black shadow swept over from afar. The entire space was instantly filled with a monstrous stench that made one want to escape. I'll give you a chance. If you do it, I'll return you your freedom. However, there was no panic on Yi Fan's face. Instead, there was a smile at the corner of his mouth. Clang! The sound of metal chains stopped abruptly. In the darkness, the terrifying figure gradually revealed itself. It was a giant ape covered in black fur. The ancient demon ape, a natural demonic creature, had long disappeared from Xingzhou. Who would have thought that there would be one here? However, at this moment, its limbs were bound by a huge chain. The chain was as thick as a person. There were flame-like runes flowing on it, and it was filled with a manic feeling. The 2 scarlet lights were the eyes of the ancient demon ape. I know you can understand my words. Are you interested in cooperating with me? Yi Fan raised his head and looked at the figure that was several times taller than him. The black ancient pagoda in his hand gradually emitted light. Roar! The ancient demon ape seemed to be afraid of Yi Fan. Or rather, it was afraid of the black pagoda in his hand. It subconsciously took a few steps back. I'll release your 2 seals and allow your soul to leave. Help me kill a soul sea cultivator and I'll return you your freedom. Yi Fan sneered. The black light in his eyes suddenly intensified. Chapter 37. Who's there? The devil ape suddenly spoke in human language, and its body shrunk. In a short moment it turned into a human form. Oh? You can transform into a human form? Yi Fan raised his eyebrows and nodded in satisfaction. So you're saying that you agree? You mean what you say? You want to return my freedom? The devil ape transformed into a human form that was 9 feet tall. Its muscles were bulging and its demonic aura was overflowing. Now that the 8 desolation glazed pagoda has recognized me as its master, it's up to me whether I want to kill you or let you go. Yi Fan smiled coldly. However, the devil ape roared at the sky. Ignorant kid, you think you can decide our life and death by controlling this broken pagoda? Not to mention an ant-like human like you, even the original master of this broken pagoda couldn't kill us. He could only imprison us here. You better do what you say. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead. Haha, as long as you help me kill that person, I promise to return your freedom immediately. Yi Fan's eyes flashed with a hint of gloominess. Since he was young, what he suffered the most was the cold eyes and threats from others. He swore that everyone who looked down on him would die. The devil ape had been sealed in the pagoda for thousands of years. If it really had a way to break free from the shackles in the pagoda, it wouldn't have waited until now. Yi Fan already understood this point when he merged with the ancient pagoda. Therefore, he didn't care about the devil ape's threat at all. Deal. A mere soul sea realm ant. I, Mi-Yong, can destroy it with a wave of my hand. The devil ape snorted coldly. Demonic light flickered around its body, as though it was a demon god descending. Alright, then I'll release 2 seals for you first. Your divine soul will leave your body and go kill that young man called Ling Xiao. Yi Fan's hand seals changed. The black chains that bound the devil ape suddenly gave off a dazzling red light and dimmed down in the blink of an eye. At the same time, A slightly illusory figure struggled and broke free from the body. Go. Yi Fan frowned. Looking at the terrifying divine soul that stood in front of him without moving, the black pagoda in his hand rotated slightly. He did not believe that these demons would keep their promises, so he had already prepared a plan for them. As long as the devil ape dared to make the slightest move, he would not hesitate to activate the 8 desolation glazed pagoda to kill the devil ape's divine soul. Sure enough, the devil ape's eyes glowed brightly as it stared fixedly at Yi Fan. Obviously, it was considering if it should seize this opportunity to kill the new owner of this pagoda. But in the end, it still hesitated. This divine treasure was a sacred object of the demon race, and its power was monstrous. And the demons that were sealed within were all once famous ferocious beasts of the northern wilderness. Currently, his spirit had only manifested and his strength was less than 1/10 of his original. If he were to attack in this tower, there was an 80% chance that he would be suppressed by Yi Fan again. Yes. In the end, it bowed respectfully to Yi Fan and vanished. Yi Fan only heaved a sigh of relief when the devil ape's aura completely disappeared. Unknowingly, his back was drenched in sweat. My cultivation level is still too low. A mere fiendish demon on the 1st level can already make me feel so pressured. I wonder what kind of ferocious creatures are suppressed above the 9th level. Yi Fan lowered his head and glanced at the black pagoda in his hand. From the day he merged with this ancient sacred object, he knew the origin of this pagoda. The 8 desolation glazed pagoda had 9 levels and 9 demons. Back then, his mother had said that as long as his cultivation level reached Paong, he would be able to refine and control the demons in this pagoda. At the same time, the martial arts and cultivation methods that the 9 demons practiced would also be passed down to him. If not for Ling Zhao's appearance today, he would not have dared to let the devil ape out so easily. Otherwise, if he attracted the attention of the Xingzhou sovereigns, he would not even know how he died. But when he thought of the humiliation that his cousin Qin Chan had suffered by Ling Zhao's side, Yi Fan felt as if 10,000 ants were gnawing at his heart. It was unbearable. Ling Xiao, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for provoking someone you shouldn't have. On the other side, the devil ape Mi Yong left the 8 desolation glazed pagoda and felt that the air had become incomparably sweet. At this moment, he did not directly go to find Ling Xiao. Instead, he stood on the roof of the Yi residence and panted to his heart's content. For 1,000 years, he had not seen the light of day and had always faced endless darkness. Although it was already late at night, the moonlight above his head was so warm and moving. Mi Yong took a deep breath and then determined his direction. Carrying an endless amount of demonic qi, he rushed toward the small courtyard where Ling Xiao was. Only his spirit had left his body. His main body was still in the soul pagoda. This was not true freedom. What he wanted was the indulgence of his soul and body. Slaughter. Only endless slaughter could bury his loneliness of nearly 1,000 years. Black clouds suddenly covered the sky above the Yi residence. A terrifying chill swept over from all directions. If someone raised their head to look at the sky, they would definitely find that the moon seemed to be covered by something. But at this moment Mi Yong was also somewhat surprised. He realized that the cultivation of the creatures in this world was too low. This was definitely not the Xingzhou continent, but how could the 8 desolation glazed pagoda have been lost? Forget it, I'll kill Ling Xiao first. Mi Yong did not conceal his presence at all and appeared in Ling Zhao's room out of thin air. But what surprised him was that the moment he appeared out of thin air, the originally dark room suddenly lit up with bright candlelight. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Countless members of the Yi family stood around the room, looking at the terrifying figure covered in monstrous demonic qi. Unfortunately, there was not the slightest trace of fear on their faces. At most, they were a little surprised. Just now, Lord Ling Xiao had sent someone to summon all the members of the Yi family, saying that an important guest would be arriving in a while. At the same time, he taught them a strange little tune. Yi Lufeng had originally thought that Lord Ling Xiao's important guest would be an expert from the Xingzhou continent. But no matter how he looked at it, the figure in front of him, who was covered in demonic qi, did not seem to be a decent person. Mi Yong's expression had long become sluggish. When he saw the ant-like humans in front of him smile at him in a friendly manner, his heart was in complete chaos. Damn! Am I past my prime? Or do you think I can't lift my sword anymore? It turned out that even immortal ascension experts would tremble in fear when they saw him, and their expressions were filled with fear. But now, a few mere ants were actually smiling at him. Also, what were they singing just now? Happy birthday? Yi Fan sent you here? Ling Zhao's lips curled into a playful smile. He wondered if his spirit could make a breakthrough after devouring the spirit of an immortal ascension expert. Mere ants, how dare you speak to me like that? Mi Yong snorted coldly. Although he felt that the atmosphere in the room was a little strange, what could a few ants do? Me? Interesting. Is this Yi Fan's trump card? An immortal ascension expert's remnant soul? Or a demonic soul? Ling Xiao frowned slightly, but he was slightly puzzled. Why had he not sensed this fluctuation from Yi Fan before? Chapter 38. No, it's definitely not that simple. Ling Zhao's intention was to let everyone in the Yi family know that Yi Fan had been hiding his trump card all this time. That way, he would be deserted by everyone and have no place to stand. That way, it would be much easier for him to kill Yi Fan. You all saw it. He wanted to kill me. I wasn't the one looking for trouble. However, he didn't expect Yi Fan to control a demonic soul. Whether it was in Xingzhou or the Four Barren Lands, the word demon was taboo. Even though the universal demonic sect was used to using the word demon, it was only because of the cultivation technique. There were 3,000 Daos in the world, and all of them were Daos. However, the aura of the demonic creature in front of him was definitely not as simple as the demonic path. Currently, the saint was in control of the world, slaying demons and being praised by the world. Such a demonic creature had disappeared a long time ago. However, why was Yi Fan able to control it? It's getting more and more interesting. You're Ling Xiao? Mi Yong's gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on Ling Xiao. What a fresh smell of flesh and blood. Wait until I devour you, then I'll crush all these ants to death. After saying that, he didn't give Ling Xiao any time to react. In a flash, he plunged into the latter's mind. Seeing that, the Yi family members' expressions changed. Especially when they felt the surging sky demon aura from the demonic creature, they were so frightened that their faces turned pale and they collapsed to the ground. Lord Ling Xiao! Lord Ling Xiao, you died so miserably! In an instant, the entire Yi family members cried and their cries spread far and wide. It's over. There was a mistake. This demonic creature was here to kill Lord Ling Xiao. However, if Lord Ling Xiao died in the Yi family, this responsibility, sob. Young master, don't scare us. Even Yi Qingchan was awakened from her dream. She looked confused and wanted to go out and find out what was going on. Stop right there. Feng Jiao naturally wouldn't let her go out. Her young master had instructed her not to let Yi Qingchan go out no matter what happened outside. Feng Jiao what do you mean? Young master said that you are not allowed to go anywhere tonight. At this moment, Ling Xiao stood in place, seemingly in a daze. However, not only did he not panic, the corners of his mouth even curled up into a playful smile. He had walked right into the trap. His divine sense was currently guarded by the ancient Pangu stone. Even a Nine Heavens Supremacy Realm expert would not be able to take advantage of it, let alone an immortal ascension demon soul. If the demonic soul had attacked outside, Ling Xiao would have had some misgivings. However, in his sea of consciousness, even the heavenly emperor would have to kneel before him. Boom! In Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness, a wave of devil qi suddenly wreaked havoc. Mi Yong's figure tore through space, but in the next moment, his expression froze. At this moment, he could see that the place he was in seemed to be a grand hall. However, the color of this great hall was not the scarlet gold color of an ordinary immortal ascension expert's soul. Instead, it was a deep black color. Mi Yong suddenly felt uneasy. Even the soul palace of an immortal ascension expert was only a few 100 feet wide. However, this strange black hall in front of him was at least 100,000 feet wide. What the F***ck is this? Could it be that Ling Xiao is the incarnation of some old monster? At this moment, a figure suddenly walked out from the end of the hall. That figure was slightly thin, but Mi Yong felt his heart tremble for some reason. Who are you? Answer a few of my questions, and perhaps I will consider sparing your life. Ling Zhao's expression was extremely indifferent, like a god who judged the common people. He was arrogant, cold, and emotionless. A mere ant dares to threaten this king, Mi Yong roared angrily, and his figure grew bigger, instantly reaching a height of a few 100 feet. Ling Xiao looked at the demonic ape in front of him with interest. He was even more curious about Yi Fan's secret. A peak void spirit cultivator could actually make this immortal ascension demon submit? You don't know what's good for you. Ling Xiao stretched out his hand and lightly waved at the demonic ape. A divine soul palm instantly formed above Mi Yong's head, and it grew to a size of 3,000 feet. It directly crushed the demonic ape to the ground. Roar! The demonic ape Mi Yong let out a miserable cry. However, just as he was struggling with all his might, something terrifying happened. The black-clothed youth slowly walked toward him. With every step he took, a wave of demonic qi would overflow from his body. In the end, he actually turned into a terrifying demonic ape with 2 horns on his head and a pitch-black body. Although this demonic ape was somewhat illusory, the demonic qi it emitted made even Mi Yong feel extremely terrified. This was a suppression that came from the bloodline. Compared to him, Mi Yong found that he did not deserve to be called a demonic ape. Ah, great demonic ape! Mi Yong's body and mind trembled as he crawled on the ground. Fortunately, he was only here with his divine soul. Otherwise, if he was here with his physical body, he would have already peed his pants. Now, can you answer my questions? Ling Xiao bent down and looked at the trembling figure at his feet. He suddenly felt that it was somewhat troublesome. He did not expect that the demonic ape would be so frightened when the sky demon's true body appeared. At this moment, he couldn't even speak. Forget it. I'll use you to test my soul assimilation forbidden technique. After saying that, a wisp of soul light suddenly flashed through Ling Zhao's eyes. Before Mi Yong could react, an ancient seal was formed in his sea of consciousness. The ancient seal bloomed with brilliance. It was like the sound of the great Tao that could swallow the world. After a while, the demonic qi around Ling Zhao's body gradually dissipated. A look of understanding appeared on his face. So that's how it is. It seems that Yi Fan's mother is not a nobody in the Xingzhou. At this moment, the Yi family members saw the demonic qi emitted from Ling Zhao's body. They all collapsed to the ground and wailed. Lord Ling Xiao, how could you bear to abandon us? Lord Ling Xiao, our Yi family has let you down. It was not that they did not want to run, but they were so frightened by the demonic qi that their legs were weak. They could not run. The demonic qi in Ling Zhao's eyes dissipated. When he opened his eyes, he saw such a joyous scene. He was speechless. Cough cough, Yi family head, if you don't chase, that demonic ape is going to escape. Lord Ling Xiao you. Hearing Ling Zhao's voice, Yi Lufeng and the others trembled. When they looked up again, they indeed saw a demonic ape escaping through the window. Someone wants to harm Lord Ling Xiao. Hurry and chase. Yi Lufeng no longer had the dejected look from before. His expression was solemn as he chased after the demonic ape. He did not think that he could subdue the demonic ape. It was just that, since the demonic ape had escaped, it proved that it was not a match for Lord Ling Xiao. With the young master behind him, he was not afraid of Luan Zi. Suddenly, the Yi family became a mess. Everyone chased after the demonic ape all the way to Yi Fan's small courtyard. At this moment, Yi Fan, who was humming a little tune and playing with the metal piece in his hand, suddenly froze. He looked at the exhausted Mi Yong who had suddenly appeared in front of him. His heart suddenly skipped a beat. Chapter 39. Is it done? Yi Fan furrowed his brows and looked outside the courtyard. He seemed to have heard a series of footsteps in the distance. But where did the footsteps come from in the middle of the night? Ling Xiao has the protection of a powerful figure. We failed. Mi Yong lowered his head with a numb look on his face. You failed. Yi Fan immediately stood up from his seat with a bang. You failed and you're running here? Are you trying to kill me? Boom. The courtyard door was suddenly smashed open by a strong force. Yi Fan's expression changed drastically. He gritted his teeth and fled from the back door. Damned Ling Xiao, damned Yi family, I'll be back sooner or later. He no longer had the mood to hide his cultivation. The aura of a peak ethereal spirit surged out and wrapped around him as he ran into the darkness. He was afraid that if he hesitated any longer, he would die at the hands of the Xingzhou young master. Damn it, looks like I've underestimated this bastard. Even the immortal ascension stage demonic ape failed. It won't be easy to kill him. Yi Fan's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at the two pieces of metal in his hands. Although the time wasn't right, with the help of the demonic ape, it wasn't impossible for him to enter the secret realm. Moreover, after the two pieces of the ancient map merged, he received more information. The location indicated by the ancient map was left behind by an ancient sovereign. Even in the Xingzhou continent, the sovereign's ruins could be considered a great fortune. As long as he could get his hands on it, he could kill Ling Xiao with ease. It's Yi Fan. Look, it's Yi Fan. So it's this bastard who wants to harm Lord Ling Xiao and our Yi family. Chase after him. Everyone in the Yi family was certain that the demonic creature was Yi Fan. Otherwise, how many times would you run in the middle of the night? Beep, the chosen one's mind has been injured. Everyone has betrayed him. Congratulations to the host for plundering 300 luck points and 3,000 villain point. Ling Xiao stood with his hands behind his back in the Yi family's main hall as he looked coldly at the escaping Yi Fan. Elder Yin stood behind him with a cold expression on his face. Old Yin, have you heard of the 8 desolation glazed soul-suppressing pagoda? Replying to young master, I didn't. Yin Lao shook his head. He was just a servant of the Ling family with a different surname. Naturally, his experience was limited. However, the demonic soul's aura was truly terrifying. Even he felt his heart palpitate. But in the end, he was still beaten back by the young master. With this thought in mind, old Yin's eyes became even more respectful. Looks like I'll have to go back and ask mother or father. Ling Xiao nodded with a smile. No matter where the ancient pagoda came from, it did not pose much of a threat to him. Because he'd already found out from Mi Yong that the 9-level pagoda sealed all great devils that couldn't be tolerated by the world. Who was Ling Xiao? Ling Xiao was the most terrifying devil in the world. His sky demon true form was enough to make all the demons in the world submit to him. This could be seen from the demonic ape's reaction just now. 300 luck points and 3,000 villain points. Looks like Yi Fan was scared out of his wits this time. But thinking about it, he had taken such a huge risk to summon the ancient demonic creature. But in the end, he returned empty-handed. Not only did he expose his trump card, but he also got involved with a devil. In this vast world, there might not be a place for him to stay. But in this way, he would definitely take a risk and fight to the death. In this way, Ling Zhao's goal would be achieved. No matter what the metal piece contained, it was obviously a great fortune for the Son of Destiny. The treasure-hunting beast was online. What Ling Zhao needed to do next was to drink tea, pick up girls, and wait for Yi Fan to find the secret territory. Although it was a little shameless, Yi Fan was luckier than him. At the very least, he could use his remaining strength. Elder Yin, follow him and help Yi Fan clear all the obstacles. Of course, the kind-hearted Ling Zhao would not do such a thing. He had to do something. Sending an expert to protect him secretly was not a waste. Yes, young master. Elder Yin nodded, but there was a hint of hesitation on his face. Don't worry. I will stay in Green Maple City for a while. Plus, no one in the Four Wastelands can threaten my life. Ling Zhao knew what Elder Yin was worried about. He smiled and comforted him. Yes, young master, if you need anything, you can call me with your divine sense. After saying that, Elder Yin disappeared from where he was. The next morning, the news that Lord Ling Zhao was attacked in the Yi family spread across the northern wastelands. However, what surprised everyone was that the demonic creature that attacked the young master was actually the Yi family's trash, Yi Fan. Suddenly, all kinds of rumors about Yi Fan were online. Rumors such as a young girl killer, a perverted serial rapist, a devil that ate both young and old, etc., spread like wildfire. Some people even recalled the tragedy that they had witnessed 13 years ago. It was the scene of Yi Fan eating a young girl alive. This showed that the word devil was a taboo to the people. In their eyes, the word devil was the synonym of bloodthirsty and cruel. If immortals carried all the incense offerings, then the devil was the source of all evil. Sadly, there were not many people in this world who had seen a devil. However, hating a devil had become a consensus. Yi Qingchan ran to Ling Zhao's room early in the morning. Her eyes were red and swollen as she looked at the youth who was sitting in front of the table and sipping tea. She had already heard about what happened last night from Yi Xing and the others. Furthermore, with regards to the situation at that time, under Yi Xing's exaggerated description, Yi Qingchan was even more frightened and regretful. If she did not recommend the Yi family, young master would not have come all the way here. If something really happened to young master in the Yi family, not to mention her, even the Xianjian sect would not be able to escape the fate of destruction. At this moment, she had already guessed that the reason why young master did not allow her to go out last night was most likely because he had sensed it beforehand. That was why he was afraid that the demonic creature Yi Fan would harm him. She hated herself for blaming him for the entire night. She was simply worse than a pig or a dog. Beep, Yi Qingchan's feelings are deeply rooted. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 100 luck points. You have plundered Son of Destiny Yi Fan's luck points by 100 points. Villain points increased by 1,000 points. Hearing the system notification, Ling Zhao was clearly stunned for a moment. Deeply rooted in love? Deep-rooted in love just like that? I haven't said any words of love, I haven't written any love songs, I haven't done any romantic things, and this #1 beauty of the northern wilderness is already deeply rooted in love? Oh, damn it. I have nowhere to place my charm. Young master, Qingchan, come over quickly. This is the tea that I personally brewed. I brought it from Xingzhou. Quickly try it. Ling Zhao's face revealed a gentle smile. He reached out and grabbed Yi Qingchan's jade-like hand, pulling her into his embrace. At this moment, Yi Qingchan only felt her breathing quicken and her heartbeat quicken. For a moment, she felt that everything in this world had lost its meaning. Only young master's embrace was her only home. Chapter 40. Young Master. Lord Ling Zhao. Yi Liufeng's voice suddenly came from outside the courtyard. Yi Qingchan wanted to get up, but she was hugged tightly by Ling Xiao. "Come in." A group of Yi family experts walked in from outside the house with fear and trepidation. They raised their heads and looked at Ling Xiao and Yi Lufeng. Before the latter could speak, they actually knelt on the ground. "Young master, please forgive us." "Young master, that Yi Fan's ambition has nothing to do with our Yi family. I have already issued a reward of 100,000 spirit stones to capture that Yi Fan." "Young master," Yi Lufeng cried until tears flowed down his face. His voice was full of emotion, and he was just short of using his death to prove his sincerity. He was really afraid. Yesterday, one of the 8 families, the Phoenix clan, had contradicted Lord Ling Xiao because of young Master Huang Qi's words. In the end, the entire Phoenix clan was razed to the ground in an instant. As for the Yi family, although they were somewhat famous in Green Maple City, in the northern wilderness, they were not even worth a fart. If the young master were to blame them today, the entire Yi family would not be able to escape the fate of destruction. Even this morning, Yi Lufeng specially went to visit a few of his concubines outside and sowed seed. In the future, the Yi family's bloodline would all depend on them. "Young master, this matter definitely has nothing to do with eldest uncle and the rest. Don't be angry. If you want to blame someone, blame Qin-chan. If I didn't ask you to come here, you wouldn't." Yi Qin-chan lowered her head slightly, and there seemed to be tears in her eyes. Now that she thought about it, she realized that Yi Fan seemed to have exposed himself long ago. Otherwise, with her cultivation level, how could she feel a chill from his body? "Why would I blame you? It's all that Yi Fan's fault for hiding too well." Ling Xiao grinned and gently scratched Yi Qin-chan's nose. The latter immediately hid in his arms shyly. When this scene fell into the eyes of the Yi family members, many of them immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the Yi family had such a precious daughter. Otherwise, it would really be difficult to escape this time. "Everyone, get up. This matter has nothing to do with the Yi family. It was all done by Yi Fan alone. Inform all the major forces in the northern wilderness. Once they find traces of Yi Fan, report it immediately." At this time, Ling Xiao naturally had to give full play to his acting skills. Naturally, Yi Fan's every move was under his control, but in the past few days, he would occasionally sense a strange aura from Yi Qin-chan. It was obvious that her innate wisdom was awakening. Of course, Ling Xiao wanted to take this opportunity to capture her heart. In this way, even if she completely woke up, Ling Xiao's mark would definitely be left in her heart. As for sending people to kill Yi Fan, of course, it was to create a sense of urgency for the Chosen One. "Many thanks, young master. My Yi clan will never forget young master's kindness. No, I'll send someone to build a statue for you and worship it every day." Yi Lufeng excitedly kowtowed 3 times before retreating under Ling Xiao's somewhat impatient gaze. "Young master, that Yi Fan cultivates demonic art. I'm afraid it's intolerable. However, as long as he's alive, it's dangerous for you. Why don't I write a letter to my father and ask him to send the Black Sword sect disciples down the mountain to find Yi Fan's whereabouts?" At this moment, Yi Qin-chan had been completely fooled by Ling Xiao to the point where she could not tell north from south. Cultivating demonic arts is intolerable in the world? If she knew that he was the biggest demon in the world, how would she feel? Ling Xiao smiled and shook his head. "No need. It's just Yi Fan. I don't think he'll be able to cause any trouble." In the next few days, the northern wilderness became lively again. Countless forces sent their disciples down the mountain to find Yi Fan's whereabouts. Of course, they were not doing it for a mere 100,000 spiritual stones. They were doing it for the Lord Ling Xiao's good impression. An ant like trash dared to attack the Lord Ling Xiao. Wasn't he courting death? As long as someone could find him and kill him first, they would definitely be recognized by the Lord Ling Xiao. By then, spiritual treasures and fortunes would be at their fingertip. At the same time, in a dilapidated ancient city at the border of the northern wilderness, A figure covered in a black bamboo hat sat by the side of the road and chewed on a piece of cold dry food. Have you heard? That trash from the Yi family is a demonic cultivator. He has cultivated the ability to consume human blood. I can understand why he sucks blood. But how does he suck essence? You don't believe me? In the past few days, many strong men have gone missing in the northern wilderness. When they were finally found, they were all sucked dry. Yi Fan's taste is really weird. Hearing the discussions around him, the figure in the bamboo hat trembled. Murderous intent seemed to be swirling in his eyes. This person was Yi Fan, who had escaped from Qing City. In the past few days, he had seen countless forces searching for him in the name of killing demons. His hatred for Ling Xiao had reached its peak. Although he had the 8-baron glazed pagoda as his trump card, letting the demonic ape's soul out of the pagoda was risky, and his own cultivation level was too low. Hence, he could only suppress the hatred in his heart and follow the ancient map to this place. However, yesterday, he found a spiritual herb in the mountains. After swallowing it, he unexpectedly broke through to the next level. This caused Yi Fan's dejected mood to be slightly comforted. In another 2 days, I will reach the valley marked on the map. By then, Yi Fan gritted his teeth. The coldness on his body attracted many people's attention. This person has such a strong murderous intent. Many experts' divine senses locked onto Yi Fan. Yi Fan's eyes narrowed. He quickly got up and left. 2 days. Give me 2 more days and I will make the entire northern wilderness kneel before me. At the same time, on a tall mountain stream in the eastern wilderness, there was an ancient stone hall built entirely of bluestone here. At this moment, there were countless figures standing in the hall. All of them had powerful auras. However, if one looked closely, they would see that although these figures were in human form, their heads were strange. There were tigers, leopards, eagles, and bears. There was even a dog-headed monster standing in front of the hall. I asked you to find out where my nephew is. Have you found out? At the front of the hall, a small figure sat on a giant golden chair. Her beautiful face carried a trace of immature dignity. Compared to Yi Qingchan's indescribable beauty, this little girl in front of him was a little more playful. However, that young and inexperienced face already showed signs of bringing disaster to the world. Furthermore, the most surprising thing was that her eyes were actually a seductive pink. Behind her, 9 furry tails were very cute. My lady, we didn't find out before. However, in the past 2 days, Yi Fan's name has been like thunder in the northern wilderness. The dog-headed monster bared its fangs and was ready to lick her. Of course, the noble blood of the 9-tailed tribe flows in his veins. The pink-eyed girl smiled faintly. Although she was trying to maintain her dignity, it was different when paired with her sweet and childish face. No, Miss Shishi. I heard that Yi Fan offended a young master from the Xingzhou continent. Now, he has become a demonic cultivator hated by everyone in the northern wilderness. I heard that he eats the blood of children. His methods are extremely cruel. Nonsense. That's impossible. Hearing this, the girl named Jishi was instantly enraged. Even the 9 white tails behind her had hardened. How dare he slander my nephew? No matter who it is, I will make him pay the price. Chapter 41. Miss, please calm down. Everyone knows how treacherous humans are. Please don't harm your health. The demons in the hall were filled with righteous indignation. They looked like they were about to rush to the northern wilderness to stand up for Yi Fan. Humph, anyone who dares to frame Miss Yishi's nephew must die. Haha, does a mere Xingzhou person think he can do whatever he wants in the Four Wilderness? The demon god mountain is not afraid of him. Miss, we are willing to follow you to the northern wilderness to bring young master back. For a time, all kinds of tiger and wolf howls sounded. It was as if the northern wilderness experts, and even the Xingzhou, were not worth mentioning in the eyes of these demons. They were not bragging. This was the Demon God Mountain, a small sacred land of the eastern wilderness demons. It was backed by the Xingzhou's 1,000-demon sacred land. It was said that most of the powerful demons in the 1,000-demon sacred land had ascended from the eastern wilderness. Therefore, compared to the human factions in the northern wilderness, the Demon God Mountain had a deep background and a terrifying foundation. After all, the demons' fertility was too low, but their lifespans were very long. Therefore, in terms of seniority, some of the demons in the Demon God Mountain had the same bloodline as the demon saints and demon venerables of the 1,000-demon sacred land. The pink-eyed girl's identity was even more shocking. She was the direct descendant of the nine-tailed fox queen from the 1,000-demon sacred land. She had secretly come to the lower realm to have fun, but she remembered a secret of the nine-tailed fox clan and sent someone to find out about Yifan's whereabouts. It was said that the eldest princess of the nine-tailed clan, who was her eldest sister, had been punished and banished to the four wilderness. Who would have thought that she would fall in love with a human and even have a child with him? This was a great humiliation to the nine-tailed clan. Normally, no one knew about it. After the eldest princess was captured and brought back to the Xingzhou, the Fox Queen had locked her up in the Forbidden Land for 20 years. Bai Zhishi had been close to the eldest princess since she was young. She often cried and lamented. She was very pitiful, so she came to the lower realm to find her nephew. The world only knew that the nine-tailed clan was born with a natural charm. But they did not know that the clan's most powerful talent was the void. Of course, not all nine-tailed foxes could awaken this talent. As for Bai Zhishi, she was known as the strongest monster in the past 1,000 years of the nine-tailed clan. A young man from the Xingzhou continent was naturally extremely intimidating to everyone in the Four Wastelands. But for Bai Zhishi it was nothing. Although the 10,000 demons' holy land was called a holy land, it was formed by the union of countless demon tribes. It was an indisputable fact that the human race was the master of the world. Demonic beasts reproduced slowly and were few in number. It was especially difficult for those powerful demonic beasts with terrifying bloodlines to give birth to children. In order to resist the forces of the human race, all the experts of the fiend race banded together and established the 1,000-fiend sacred land, which had the potential to become the #1 sacred land in the Xingzhou. As for the nine-tailed demon tribe, as a royal family, they were equivalent to the elders of the sect, and enjoyed the reverence of all the demons. Even if the leaders of ordinary forces saw her, they would definitely be filled with respect. A mere young master from the Xingzhou continent, Humph, dares to frame a member of the nine-tailed clan. He's courting death. All experts at the Soul Sea stage and above, follow me to the northern wilderness. I want to see just what kind of identity this young master from the Xingzhou continent has. Of course, Bai Zhishi's confidence did not only come from the force behind her, but also from her profound clear stage cultivation. Given her strength, even among the younger generation of the Xingzhou continent, she was one of the best, let alone in the Four Desolates. Mississippi. You can't. Before the mountain master went into seclusion, he instructed you not to casually appear. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll attract a disaster. Among the demons, a wretched-looking old man with a long beard and a turtle shell on his back stepped forward and blocked Bai Zhishi's path. The old turtle's cultivation was not weak. He had reached the peak of the Soul Sea stage and was much stronger than the immortal sword sect master, Yi Luyun. However, the gleam in his beady eyes gave people a feeling of insidious scheming. One look and one could tell that he was not a proper demon. Disaster? What disaster? With my talent, even an immortal cannot do anything to me. What disaster can there be? Old Goe, you stay on the Demon God Mountain. The rest of you, follow me. Bai Zhishi waved her small hand and looked like a ruler descending to the world. Especially at this moment, The dignified expression on her small face really made people want to laugh. She was the youngest in the 10,000 demons' Holy Land, so she had to follow orders wherever she went. Now that she was being sought after in the Eastern Desolates, she had to make a lot of trouble. Moreover, her nephew had been wronged. As his aunt, she had to help him get back at them. Otherwise, others would think that there was no one in the nine-tailed tribe. With that thought, Baijishi's small face suddenly showed a trace of determination. Her figure flashed and turned into a stream of light. "Let's go." Seeing that, the great demons of the Demon God Mountain stood up and followed Baijishi, ignoring the old turtle's obstruction. For a moment, the sky above the Eastern Desolates was filled with demonic chi. Those who did not know would think that the Demon God Mountain Master had personally led an expedition to suppress the human race. Sigh. At the top of the Demon God Mountain, the old turtle sighed. A trace of bitterness flashed in his beady eyes. His true form was a 1,000-year-old black turtle. In addition to his strong defensive power, he was also proficient in the Tao of divination. Early this morning, he was alert and had performed a divination for the Demon God Mountain. The result was a sign of great misfortune. However, there was a variable in this misfortune, and the variable was Baijishi. He did not know much about the 1,000 demons' sacred ground, but he had heard from the mountain master that the sacred ground was no longer as peaceful and united as it seemed on the surface. The various races had been peaceful for a long time and had long lost the camaraderie of life and death. In particular, the division between the demon kings had caused hostility among many demon clans. Although Baijishi was young, she was the most talented member of the nine-tailed tribe. In particular, her comprehension of the Tao of the Void was coveted by many great demons. This time, she had secretly come to the lower realm without even bringing a Tao protector with her. Once her whereabouts were exposed, she would definitely attract many people with evil intentions. But, given the Demon God Mountain's cultivation level, they could not protect her at all. If something happened to her in the Eastern Desolates, the Demon God Mountain would definitely have to bear the nine-tailed tribe's anger. Could the variable be the Xingzhou young master? The old turtle pondered for a long time. Then, as if he suddenly thought of something, he looked at the Demon God Mountain in the sky and did not stop them in the end. The key to breaking out of this misfortune lay in the word change. If Baijishi really stayed on the Demon God Mountain, there would only be one outcome for her and the Demon God Mountain if experts from the Xingzhou tribe came. And now, it was said that the Phoenix tribe, an ancient race of the northern Desolates, had been destroyed in one breath because they had provoked the Xingzhou young master. Everyone in the four Desolates knew that the Phoenix tribe had a Paong ancestor behind them. In that case, the young master's identity should be extraordinary. As for Yi Fan, he was just a bastard. What was there to care about? Chapter 42. Eastern wilderness was shrouded by demonic clouds. An oppressive feeling like a storm was about to come quietly rippled out. Many great demons in the forest had already retracted their auras and prostrated themselves on the ground, not daring to even breathe loudly. At this moment, they could feel that the aura of the figure in the lead had reached the terrifying mystic clear stage. One had to know that among the mystic clear great demons in Eastern Wilderness, other than the one on the Demon God Mountain, there were only a few old things left. But looking at that slender figure, it did not look like the Demon God Mountain's master. Could it be that someone in Eastern Wilderness had broken through again? At this moment, in the Yi family's backyard, Ling Xiao was half lying on a bamboo chair, leisurely whistling. Yi Qingchan stood beside him, gently massaging his shoulders. In the distance, Feng Jiao Er's eyes were lowered as she seriously brewed tea. Ling Xiao had not felt such peace for a long time. System. Bored to death, Ling Xiao summoned the system. Owner, Ling Xiao. Identity, Myriad Dao Demon Sex Young Master. Divine Constitution, Sky Demon True Body, Forbidden Constitution. Cultivation, Peak Soul Sea Realm. Cultivation Method, Myriad Tao Demon Art, Sky Demon True Body, Talent, Eye of Nirvana, Talent, Ancient Soul Assimilation Technique, Forbidden Technique. Luck Points, 700. Villain Points, 9,500. Looking at the luck points and villain points on the system interface, Ling Zhao's lips unconsciously curled into a smile. I can break through again. With his current luck points, there was actually no pressure in killing these children of destiny of the Four Wilderness. It was just that his purpose of coming down was not purely to plunder luck points. Now Yi Fan had already transformed into a treasure-seeking beast according to his plan and went to search for opportunities for him. As for the other children of destiny of the Four Wilderness, they were no longer attractive to Ling Xiao. It was just that he had been in the Four Wilderness for some time. Some people in the Xingzhou had probably started to notice his whereabouts. The most important thing now was to increase his cultivation as much as possible so that he could deal with those people with ulterior motives when he returned. I'm going out for a while. You guys stay in the Yi clan. If there's anything important, you can summon me with the divine talisman. Otherwise, don't disturb me. Ling Xiao didn't plan to break through in the Yi family. After all, breaking through to the profound clear stage would cause too much of a commotion. Now that old Een wasn't by his side, and Nine Nether was recovering her cultivation, he didn't have a single expert by his side. If someone were to target him, the consequences would be unimaginable. In particular, Yi Fan's luck made him feel uneasy. The secrets on this Son of Heaven's mandate were too shocking. And the mother who gave him the glazed pagoda might be the source of Ling Zhao's uneasiness. It seemed that he had to try and raise the level of the Sky Demon True Body. Although the Xianqing realm was already the strongest in the Four Barren Lands, the Xianqing realm was the strongest. However, Ling Zhao's enemies were not in the Four Desolate. His greatest trump card was still the Forbidden Demon Body. Ling Xiao was confident that he could crush the Paong swordsman if he went all out. But once the Sky Demon True Body was used, he had to get rid of his opponent. Otherwise, it would only bring about endless trouble. Now that no one was paying attention, Ling Xiao didn't have to worry about breaking through. Once he returned to the Xingzhou continent, his every move would attract countless people's attention. Young master, where are you going? Yi Qingchan frowned slightly and looked at Ling Xiao with some confusion. I'm going to visit a brothel. Do you want to follow me? Ling Xiao grinned. His figure flashed and instantly disappeared from the spot. Brothel? Yi Qingchan was stunned. She obviously didn't understand the meaning of these two words. It's a brothel. Feng Jiao casually threw the folding fan in her hand to the side and walked out of the small courtyard. A brothel? Yi Qingchan's eyes narrowed. However, she immediately understood that Ling Xiao must be deliberately teasing her. Although the Xingzhou young master was indeed a little frivolous with his identity, he had all kinds of women around him. Why would he go to such a dirty place? On the other side, Ling Xiao quietly left the Yi family and found a deserted mountain range. He released a little bit of pressure, causing the beasts and demons in the mountain to completely fall silent. He walked into a cave, took out a few talismans from his Qiankuan bag, casually arranged them, and closed his eyes to cultivate. Now that the 10,000 demonic arts had reached the 6th level, he was second to none among the younger generation in the entire 10,000 demonic arts sect, and as long as he broke through another level, his cultivation would completely step into the profound clear stage. 9,500 villain points, yes, he could at least break through the 3rd level. As for the Sky Demon's true body, it was time to enter the 2nd level. After making up his mind, Ling Xiao summoned the system again. 10,000 demonic arts, add point. With a tap of his small hand, his cultivation level soared. This feeling was indeed much more comfortable than the hardship cultivation counterattack flow. Boom! And with enough villain points to squander, Ling Zhao's breakthrough naturally became easy and comfortable. As the aura around him gradually surged, dark clouds finally began to gather in the sky above the barren mountain. Streaks of lightning dragons descended from the sky and directly shrouded the entire barren mountain. The sound of Tao was melodious, and divine light filled the sky. When the citizens of Green Maple City saw this miracle in the distance, they instantly knelt down and kowtowed in the direction of the barren mountain. And when the cultivators in the city saw the purgatory-like lightning waterfall, they were all shocked and guessed who was going through the tribulation here. The process of breaking through was boring, especially for Ling Xiao. The lightning tribulation that was fatal in the eyes of others was like a needle to him. The Sky Demon's true body was known as the Forbidden Physique, and one could imagine how tough it was. Even if he didn't have the Demon Dragon's sacred armor, Ling Xiao wouldn't be afraid at all. In a short period of time, not only did he enter the Profound Clear stage, but he even broke through to the mid-stage of the Profound Clear stage. If it weren't for the fact that Ling Xiao purposely left 4,000 villain points to cultivate the Sky Demon's true body, he probably would have directly broken through to the late stage of the Profound Clear stage. What kind of ridiculous speed was this? If the sacred lords and godly kings of the Xingzhou continent knew about this, they probably wouldn't even need to expose the Sky Demon's true body to kill him. There were monsters in every era, but there had to be a limit. Otherwise, if someone broke the balance of the Xingzhou continent, they would become the enemy of the entire world. Ling Xiao naturally understood this, so he didn't continue to increase his cultivation level. Instead, he focused on cultivating the Sky Demon's true body. The Sky Demon's 9 transformations, 1 realm per transformation. Although Ling Xiao had the Sky Demon's true body since birth, he didn't dare to cultivate it at all. There were records in the Ling family's ancient books that the forbidden physique that dominated the Xingzhou continent awakened the Sky Demon's 3rd transformation when he ascended to the immortal realm, causing the demonic consciousness to explode. In the end, he was controlled and turned into a killing machine. And now, although Ling Xiao had broken through to the Profound Clear stage, awakening the 2nd transformation of the Sky Demon's true body was a great risk. In order to control the demonic consciousness in his body, Ling Xiao didn't dare to slack off at all. His cultivation level was always at the top of his peers. This was not only because of his hard work, but also because of a more important reason: his danci, which was different from ordinary people's. Chapter 43. From the moment he was born, Ling Zhao's Sky Demon true body had been exposed. Although this forbidden physique was powerful and mysterious, it was a pity that Ling Xiao did not have a core C in his body. In other words, he was originally a cripple and could not absorb spiritual energy to cultivate like a normal person. In this way, the demonic will of the Sky Demon true body could not be suppressed by his own spiritual energy and would be exposed sooner or later. However, at this time, the Yi family gave birth to a concubine-born baby. He was Ling Zhao's younger half-brother, Ling Tian. Ling Zhao's younger brother's mother was the young miss of a declining ancient clan in the Xingzhou. It was said that this ancient clan had once produced a sword Dao venerable who shocked the entire Xingzhou. However, later on it declined for some reason. Ling Zhao's father occasionally saw this young miss on the streets and felt that her background was pitiful, so he brought her home and took her in as a concubine. Because of this, Ling Zhao's father was targeted by his mother in every possible way. The two of them were born on the same day. Ling Xiao was born with a forbidden physique and did not have a core C. However, Ling Tian was extremely talented and had a different meridian. His core C was the rare yin-yang core C, which was divided into 2 extremes. His cultivation speed was unmatched by ordinary people. Unfortunately, on the day Ling Tian was born, his mother died in childbirth. This also meant that he was destined to lose all protection in the Ling family. As the leader of the #1 pill sect in the Xingzhou, Ling Zhao's mother, the Moon of Xianyuan, devoted all her efforts to studying pills in a futile attempt to conceal the demonic will in Ling Zhao's body. However, good things did not last long. Without the cover of spiritual energy, Ling Zhao's mind was gradually eroded by the demonic will. It was also under this background that the Moon of Xianyuan set her sights on Ling Tian. When the two of them were 10 years old, the Moon of Xianyuan personally dug out Ling Tian's core C and placed it in Ling Zhao's body. Perhaps because of the bloodline connection, the yin-yang core C regained vitality in Ling Zhao's body and quickly helped him suppress the demonic will, becoming a prodigy. However, because Ling Tian's Dan C was dug out, he was unable to recover from the setback and became a well-known cripple. Almost no one in the Ling family knew about this secret. Even Ling Tian could only vaguely remember that he was harmed by Ling Xiao and his mother. However, in the eyes of Ling Zhao's mother, it was natural for a concubine's son to sacrifice himself for the young master of the direct line of descent. Of course, Ling Xiao used to think so too. But now, he knew that compared to Ling Tian, the fate of his physical body would definitely be very miserable in the future. As for Ling Tian, he should be the true child of destiny of the Ling family. Because of this, his parents quarreled and lived separately. After all, Ling Xiao was the direct descendant of the Ling family. In less than 2 years, his father chose to forget about this matter. However, he still doted on Ling Xiao and did not allow him to suffer any harm. Ling Xiao had known about this secret since the day he transmigrated. However, he was slightly hesitant about how he would face his half-brother after returning to the Xingzhou continent. According to normal circumstances, after Ling Tian's Dan C was dug out, he would definitely awaken other talents. At the same time, his hatred towards him was not something that could be resolved with just a few words. Although on the surface, Ling Tian appeared to be extremely obedient, this kind of obedience was even more terrifying. Perhaps Ling Tian did not know that he had the forbidden demon body. However, it was clear that these 7 years of forbearance had allowed him to accumulate terrifying trump cards. In the past, Ling Xiao might have become Ling Tian's stepping stone in the end. As for his mother, the Moon of Xianyuan, her fate would have been even worse. But now, since he knew the direction of the plot, he had to think of a way to prevent this tragedy from happening. Being able to endure for 7 years after his Dan C was dug out, TSK, my good little brother, you're quite shrewd. Ling Xiao knew that Ling Tian's forbearance was only to preserve his life. After all, the Ling family was different from the Yi family. Moreover, Ling Zhao's mother was someone who could cover the sky with one hand in the Xingzhou continent. If Ling Tian showed even a trace of dissatisfaction or other talents, it would be difficult for him to escape. Sigh, he really is a villain. He won't even let off his own little brother. Ling Xiao bitterly laughed. In the end, he still could not think of a way to deal with Ling Tian, so he could only focus on cultivation for the time being. After all, whether it was the chosen one or a villain, in order to gain a foothold in this world, one needed strength. This was especially so for Ling Xiao. His arrogance in the past had already offended a group of enemies. If he dared to slack off now, his future path would be very difficult. Add a point to the sky demon true body. Ling Xiao took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Then, without hesitation, he used all his remaining villain points to cultivate the sky demon true body. This time, the space did not collapse, and there were no dark clouds gathering above his head. Only a dark and evil demonic light began to spread. Even with the spiritual talismans that Ling Xiao had set up to cover it, wisps of demonic qi still leaked out. In just a short moment, the entire barren mountain fell into a dead silence. Even the grass and trees were turned into ashes the moment the demonic light swept past. Endless darkness shrouded the earth. Within a radius of 100 miles, the light was completely annihilated. Even the sunlight above his head disappeared without a trace the moment it fell. A cold and murderous aura slowly spread out. At this moment, in Green Maple City, all the cultivators looked at the dark sky above their heads with fear on their faces. What a terrifying demonic chi! What a terrifying pressure! In midair, a graceful figure wearing a white coat stood with her hands behind her back. Although she looked a little young, her mature actions revealed a trace of cuteness. But this did not affect the reverence people had for her, because the pressure on her body had already reached the profound clear stage. Behind her, demonic beasts with terrifying auras roared ferociously, and a bloody smell that could be seen with the naked eye rushed towards them. The demonic beasts are massacring the city. The demonic beasts are massacring the city. At this moment, all the aristocratic families in Green Maple City fell into a panic. Even the northern wilderness prodigies and their guardians were all silent. They curled up in the dark and did not dare to move. It was already a forbidden law in the four wilderness if a profound clear stage cultivator did not appear. But now, a profound clear stage cultivator suddenly appeared in Green Maple City. Moreover, from the looks of it, she did not seem to be here to visit young Master Ling Xiao. That ferocious aura that was as vast as the heavens seemed more like she was here to kill. Where is that bulsh *T Xingzhou young master? My young mistress is here in person. Hurry up and come out to greet her. In midair, the dog-headed demonic beast roared angrily, and the demonic chi around its body swept out. It was a late-stage soul C-stage demon. Come out to greet her? Hearing this, many of the northern wilderness prodigies who had seen Ling Xiao gasped. From the tone of this demon, it seemed that he did not take Lord Ling Xiao seriously at all. Since he knew that Ling Xiao was from the Xingzhou continent, he still dared to provoke him. Then, what kind of terrifying identity did the girl in the white coat standing behind him have? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.